It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
Welcome into Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville, and making his way down from WRRR, St. Mary's 93 Light Rock,
I told
Craig
you.
Dutton.
Yeah, I know the callers are very semblance of that tonight again with the weather going about.
Yes, it is rather brisk outside this evening outside all across the state of West Virginia. You got to understand, I work overnights. This is morning to me. But nonetheless, for the rest of the world out there, it is evening and it is a Friday night. And that does mean it is time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Again, if you want to interact with the show, follow us at hoops_roundup on Twitter. Always a great way to interact with us. First off, Craig, welcome back to the program.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here this evening. Of course, a wonderful evening to talk about some basketball. Of course, northern part of the state, and it's all on its own. I don't know the competitiveness of what I've been seeing this season. I've been seeing some teams really stand out in our area. Of course, there's a lot of teams that are in a lot of rebuilding stages as well. I've seen this from one year to the next.
And Joe, let's go back 1 year to when Craig made his 5-minute debut on the show.
And what happens?
And he ended up in the Network West Virginia promo, featured prominently more than anybody.
I was actually asked about that promo. A lady that I work with said, I saw you or your twin brother on TV the other nights.
Always a good time, guys. But nonetheless, we're talking high school basketball with you all the way through midnight, all across the Fast Break Sports Network here, and as well on Network West Virginia on Armstrong Channel 25 in the Huntington area. Just so many ways to view this program now. BasketballNight.com also a way to do so as well. But
and you can always go back and watch them on YouTube or our, website.
Absolutely. This is episode 67 of this show, and our 9th episode of the season. You realize that after tonight we are 67% of the way done.
Yeah, we were talking last night on another show I do. We had a special edition. I mean, doesn't the girls start sectionals in like 3 weeks?
Actually, I believe it's more along the lines of a little more than 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it is almost here. And, of course, we do turn the calendar to February. And, Craig, this is a time of year where it starts to get serious in terms of seeding. Yes, the way the seeding process works, every game counts in West Virginia now, but these games tend to get a little more weight this time of year.
They do, and it seems that if you have a 2-game matchup, a home and away, whatever that second matchup usually goes towards the favor, especially if you're deadlocked. And our section's the same way. St. Mary's fell to Ritchie County last night, and I feel that holds more weight now because Ritchie County upset Tyler Consolidated, who I feel is your outright number one team in our section. That'll hold more weight over St. Mary's, who got swept by the Silver Knights this year. So when you come down to it, I think that's the difference between making a 3, maybe even a 4 or 5 seed in your section.
It's been a busy week across the Mountain State as well. The Big Atlantic Classic going on at the Raleigh County Armory and Convention Center. Let's just call it the Raleigh County Armory, though. I mean, that's what the place is known for. And they've had basketball going all week long there. And, and the president visited the Greenbrier right in the midst of all that, too. So,
been a lot of news. Well, and yesterday afternoon, we were kind of concerned of how many basketball games might be interrupted tonight because of the teachers' issue and their visit to Charleston today as well.
Yeah, there were several counties that were closed due to what was deemed an impending work stoppage. It wasn't necessarily a strike, but it was more or less a one-day, go make your voice heard ordeal. And then that raised questions. Does that mean that because school's canceled, you don't play? And if it just creates a lot of issues there that could have affected the schedule. Based upon what we're seeing, it does not appear to have had much of an effect because there are a lot of games.
Yeah, we've got 72 games on tap across the state tonight, both boys and girls, so should be another full night of Basketball Friday night.
So we want to jump right in now and get our first check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Joe, we'll let you lead it off with the boys' scores. I'll get the bottom half of that, and we'll let Craig do the girls' scores.
All right, taking a look at boys' scores from across the West Virginia. The first two games we have on tap from the Big Atlantic Classic from Beckley. It was the Parker's Big Reds defeating Princeton 64-51 in the opening round today. It was University of Morgantown defeating Hedgesville 65-52. Cameron picks up a win tonight over Shadyside, Ohio, 46-44. At a halftime score, it is Magnolia trailing River Hannibal by a score of 28-16. This score is from the fourth quarter. Pendleton County leads Moorfield 49-43. In a final, it was Parkersburg Catholic falling to Wheeling Central 96-80. It was Woodrow Wilson, the Flying Eagles, over Hampshire tonight 89-41. And another score from the half, it is Wheeling Park trailing Parkersburg South 46-29. And another score from the half, it's Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish leads Charleston Catholic 39-32, right?
Other scores across the state tonight in boys high school basketball. Huntington rolls over South Charleston 89-52. That's a score that's sure to get a lot of attention. A 37-point road victory for the Highlanders tonight at South Charleston. Musselman at the end of the third quarter with a 10-point lead at home against Jefferson, 48-38. Also tonight, a final score. It was Nitro 95, Lincoln County 57. The Wildcats just put up points by the bundle. Speaking of Wildcats, Logan's Wildcats pick up a win tonight, 74-38, a home win at the Logan Fieldhouse at Willie Acres Arena over the visiting Scott Skyhawks. Also, Cardinal Conference action tonight, Mingo Central, a big win at home. The Miners defeat Wayne 86-52, the final in that one. Also tonight, Ravenswood goes to 14-1 as the Red Devils pick up a 12-point win in the pit over Tyler Consolidated, 75-63 the final in that one. Southern Garrett, Maryland defeats Tucker County 57-49, and at the end of the third quarter, it is Williamstown 39, Work County 24.
Only about 4 girls' scores to report this time. The consolation in the Big Atlantic Classic, 63-55 win for the Parkersburg Lady Big Reds over St. Albans. Riverside Warriors tonight at home defeating Rip Capital 53-30. Parkersburg Catholic goes on the road to Morgantown to take on the Trinity Lady Warriors. The Crusaderettes are still perfect at 16-0 on the season with the victory, 68-55. And Hampshire with a road victory at home victory over Bishop Walsh, Maryland, 57-26.
That is a check of your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. And before we go to the phone lines, Craig, any of those scores stick out to you at this point?
Of course, it's the Crusaderettes right now. It's a team right now. I see a whole lot of discussion up north. Do they have the ability to take on a team like Huntington St. Joe's yet? They're still really young in a lot of spots. They have some freshmen. They're going to get better. I've heard the 8th grade class is really good coming up. But they have a lot of senior leadership that comes off the bench. You know, Coach Marty Vierheller has a lot of young ladies that come off the bench who are seniors. So if they continue to work on that depth, I still say they're almost a shoo-in out of that Region 4, them and St. Joe's to make the state tournament.
Joe.
I was looking at the University Hawks Hedgesville game. I thought that game would probably be a little closer. It ended up being a 13-point win for University. That one kind of jumped out at me, and the Huntington game as well. So
yes, the Huntington game certainly was one that is kind of, like I said, reverberating a little bit
I thought
tonight.
South Charleston would give them a little better game. So.
Especially at the South Charleston Community Center. Yeah. That's a difficult place to play. Huntington, though, goes in there and gets a big win. One of the fun events throughout the state of West Virginia is one that really does encompass the entire state. It's called the Hometown Invitational Tournament, the HIT tournament for short. It's an interesting tournament because it's a lot of these small community-based Class A programs that get together and they seed their teams throughout the state. You end up getting teams crossing the state to go to places that they normally wouldn't go. I mean, Coach Marone
was in Cameron last
week, exactly, with the Tulsa Lady Rebels. So, and that's an opportunity for teams that are very much alike in their build in terms of their school and their dynamics of that to compete against each other and to have a championship to play for. Mike DePasquale is the athletic director of Tigris Valley. He's also the tournament director for the girls hit tournament. He joins us now on the program. And Coach, first off, nice to have you back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
How are you guys? Enjoy the show.
And the Hometown Invitational, obviously we talked about it as one that is a lot of fun throughout the state, and giving teams some opportunities to play other teams that maybe they just wouldn't cross paths with on a normal Friday night or any night of the week for that matter.
Well, I heard you guys mention that Coach Marone went to Cameron last week, and after he went to Cameron, he made the trip down to Tigers Valley on Saturday. So you're right. That's probably the first time those girls have ever been to the west side or the east side of the state.
Well, Mike, of course, short time. I actually just messaged you there on the phone here a little bit ago. Of course, we play a lot of trivia crack between each two of us, but still, West Virginia hometown tournament. It was just last year, Mike. I got to work with you at Doddridge County, and of course, that's the bigger emphasis is that Ryan hit on there was about trying to get these small schools to face off with one another, try to create a championship semblance when it comes to the title game. Moving it to South Charleston this year, I'm sure that has made a big impact trying to get it more centralized.
Well, that was Coach Marone's doing. He did a great job of talking to Arnett that runs a rec center for us. And as you know, the last couple of years we've tried to rotate, up in the northern end of the state, and the southern end of the state. And last year we were up at Doddridge County, and this year we're going to be down in the southern end of the state. So we're looking forward to it. It's a great facility.
Big day tomorrow for the Hometown Invitational at South Charleston for the girls basketball games. And, we've got quite a few games that are going to be played over the course of that day. You've got Payton City and Paw Paw. You've got St. Mary's and Tulsa, Calhoun County and South Harrison, East Hardy, Tigers Valley, Clay Battelle, Harmon, Valley Wetzel, Union, Meadow Bridge, Van, Cameron, and Greenbrier West. So basically what I'm getting at here, Coach, is you can just go to the South Charleston Community Center tomorrow and watch teams from all over West Virginia.
Yeah, you can. And unfortunately, that 9 o'clock game between Paw Paw and Payton City is canceled, and so is the 4:30 game between Valley and Union. Both Union and Paw Paw had issues with the flu, as I'm sure you guys know. It's going around the state of West Virginia right now, and they're undermanned right now. So those two games have been canceled. So we're actually not going to start till about 10:30 with that first game with Tulsa and St. Mary's, and I think that'll be a good game. Coach Marone usually has a pretty good team. Watched them play us a couple weeks ago, and Coach Meeks, as you guys know, they've been the single A girls public school powerhouse over the last couple of years, and he's got a really young team, so it's going to be nice to see those two teams match up against each other.
Hey, Mike, this is Joe Lindell. First of all, with temperatures going to be down in the low teens tonight, that might be a good thing for that first game to be canceled in the morning. But on another point, how long does it take you to put this tournament together? I mean, you're probably already working on next year's schedule, I presume.
It's funny you said that, because actually the first thing I'm going to do Monday morning is I send out an email to all the public schools in West Virginia, and I'll start recruiting schools for next year as soon as Monday gets here, and we'll go from there. And it's a year-long process. I've got some good help. Coach Meeks does a good job for me. Jeff Palmer out of Paw Paw, he does a good job of helping out with me, and Roger Kane up at Cameron. Coach Marone's done a great job down at Tulsa this year helping us out. It's just not a one-man show. We do a great job. We follow a lot of the policies the boys have put in place. Of course, the boys are 2 years ahead of us, and as far as the tournament goes, and it takes a village to do this. It's just not a one-man job.
So if there's a small school that hasn't participated in this tournament and would like to next year, I know you were talking about sending things out, but how could they just best reach you to reach out to you and say, hey, we want in next year?
They can call me. They can email me. Any way they want in. And we invite, like I said, we invite every single A public school. We don't leave one out. There has been talk about inviting some small AA schools in. We haven't got to that point yet. It's something that will be discussed. But right now, it's just a small single A tournament, and all the public schools are invited. And last year we had, I think when we did it last year, we had 20 schools. Division I had 12, and Division II had 8. This year we're down to 16. The boys are up to 20, and they have 12 Division I and 8 Division II. So I think it's catching on. I think it's more than what people think it is. It's not just the small schools getting together saying, hey, we can't compete. It's very competitive.
Certainly is a lot of fun, and it's a tournament that I haven't got a chance to go to yet. I don't know that I can make it to South Charleston tomorrow, unfortunately, but I do know that I follow that tournament closely. I just love the matchups of teams that are non-traditional matchups, but are teams that are schools that are built very similarly in terms of their athletic programs. Coach Mike DePasquale, the athletic director at Tigers Valley, thanks so much for joining us, and we wish the tournament continued success, not only tomorrow at the South Charleston Civic Center, or Community Center, but also in the future as well.
No problem. We appreciate all the publicity you guys give us, and hopefully you guys can make it over tomorrow, and it'll be a great day of girls basketball for the small schools in West Virginia. That
sounds good. Mike DePasquale, the athletic director of Tigers Valley and the tournament director for the girls version of the Hometown Invitational Tournament. We thank him so much for joining us here tonight. We're going to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Dave Morrison of the Big Atlantic Classic. He's been busy, so to speak, this week. So we're looking forward to talking with him. We'll do that, and we'll have much more on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia when we return. This is Break One along the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Does showing up for work at a ballpark or an arena sound good to you? A Marshall University sports journalism degree can get you there. Sports journalism at Marshall is important. It's serious. It's big business. Sports media and communications careers are some of the most competitive and marketable worldwide in a multi-billion-dollar industry. We'll prepare you to think critically, report accurately, and artfully tell the stories on and off the field or court. If this sounds like you, the Marshall School of Journalism is ready and eager to start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Thanks for joining us tonight. Give us a call toll free 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. Don't forget our poll question. Last week's question: should high school basketball adopt women's college basketball rules of shooting 2 shots after the 5th foul in a quarter and resetting team fouls each quarter? 71% of you said no, 29% yes. This week's question: should dunking be allowed during all of pregame? Tell us what you think. You've got till 11:45 tonight to vote. Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com to vote in this week's poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got till 11:45, and we'll share the results with you tonight. And tonight we have a new Standout Athlete of the Week. You'll hear from them later in the show from Buckhannon Upshur. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
9:18 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Off and running here on the fastest 3 hours on radio or television or internet streaming. However you are viewing us or listening to us here tonight. Ryan Epling alongside of Joe Linville, Craig Dutton with us, making the trip down from WRRR. I will say that as many times as possible tonight.
I wanted to tell you before we came on, I told Craig, I said, he'll say that 50 times tonight.
Yep. And before we go to Dave Morrison, Craig, I know you had a chance to work with the Hometown Invitational.
Yes.
We were talking with Coach DePasquale just before the break, and that event is like I said, that's a special type of event, the way it's constructed and the way those schools really come together to put on that event, and the people who plan the event put a lot into it as well.
He mentioned a lot more names than used to be associated with it. I didn't realize Howard Meeks was still with it from St. Mary's, but having Rick Marone and a bunch of other, coaches involved with it, you got to have more people involved to make that feel like a championship atmosphere. And that's what they want tomorrow at the South Charleston Rec Center. They want that championship feel. Like whenever I announced the 2 times we had at St. Mary's High School and last year at Doddridge County, they wanted me to announce it exactly like they do at the Charleston Civic Center for the state tournament, where you rotate the players back and forth on your reserves. And I all the effort into that, it took a little extra, but they enjoyed it. The fans enjoyed it. They really like coming to this one central location to take on a team all the way across the other end of the state. And it made a big impact on these young ladies or young men who will play next week. I think, honestly, it's a tournament that will keep up over the years. I know the girls this year, I think Howard Meeks was right coming in. Cameron Lady Dragons, they're probably the team to beat in that tournament, and they are playing for the title tomorrow. So if anyone wants to see a good single-A program, that'd be in the Cameron Lady Dragons, who has to compete with the likes of Wheeling Central when sectional time comes.
And that's exactly my next point. And Joe, a lot of these schools don't get a chance to make it to the Civic Center. They get in difficult sections or regions that they just can't get out of, it seems like. And for them, this is an opportunity to go show off. And some of these schools will be in Charleston for the state tournament next month. But at the same time, it gives an opportunity for more people to experience a similar type of atmosphere.
Yeah, and leading up to it, it gives them a chance to travel to areas of, we've talked about several times, just like Coach Marone, and, they went to Cameron last week and then, stopped it for another game on Saturday on the way back home. And it's just a great way for, they're student athletes. And I think we forget about that a lot of times, that, gives them opportunity to get out and see parts of the state they never would, but then also getting to play in venues that they may not have the opportunity as well.
One of the fantastic venues in high school basketball in West Virginia is the Raleigh County Armory, hosting the Big Atlantic Classic this week. Dave Morrison has been there through maybe all of it to this point. He joins us on the program now. Dave, welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Guys, how are you doing this evening? I hope you can hear me. We got a game going on right now. Actually, Dante Grantham's alma mater, Martinsburg.
So you got the Martinsburg Bulldogs in action right now.
Yeah, they're up quite substantially. The first quarter just ended 22-7 over Greenbrier East.
Well, Dave, this is an event that brings a lot of people in from across the state as well, and in different levels. You've got divisions basically for every classification now, and it's an event that I know that there were some questions about the lateness of the schedule coming out and some changes that were made almost up to the last minute, but with the exception of a couple of games that ran a little bit late on their start time, and by a little bit I mean 10:45-ish on a weeknight, the tournament seems to be going along pretty well.
Yeah, actually, they did get back on schedule tonight. As a matter of fact, they kind of held up the sort of this last game because they were running so far ahead. There was an elementary school game that wasn't played, so they kind of delayed it so it would start right about 9 o'clock, and it did. Of course, this has been a slow-moving game, so it's going to get back probably where it's going to end at about 10:45. But better than starting, as you mentioned, the other night, 2 nights ago. My Lord, the Wyoming East game against James Monroe didn't start. I think it was about 10-11, actually, when it did start. But it is a good tournament. It's a good tournament for the area. You get to see some teams you don't normally see, such as Martinsburg here, Hedgesville from the Eastern Panhandle played a little earlier, lost to University. And also we had Woodrow Wilson playing Hampshire. Woodrow with an easy victory in that game as well. There have been some blowouts, but kind of come to expect that in the first round of these games.
Hey, Dave, this is Joe Linville. As we were talking earlier, the Raleigh County Armory, as I've always known it, a lot of, basketball history. And this tournament's a little bit different than your average tournament. Can you kind of fill us in on what makes this tournament so special for the teams that are playing in it?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of different divisions. A lot of times you'll have a tournament, it'll be a 4-team, maybe an 8-team. Well, there's more teams there's as many teams as that in just the AAA boys and the AAA girls. They have 2 brackets in AAA, so you'll have 2 champions. They have 2 brackets in girls, so you'll have 2 champions there. So you get to see girls and boys. Also, this year, they added what they had many, many years ago with Mountain State University. They added college games with West Virginia Tech playing and the West Virginia Tech women playing. So they kind of added that in place of a national team. We used to have Oak Hill Academy come in every year, but I think that got a little pricey with what they had to pay to get that team in here. So they went more to a college. They went to a college division, so it gives Tech a chance to play an extra game here, maybe in front of a few more fans when they play that in front of a Wyoming County team, because everyone knows the Wyoming County teams are the ones that will pack this place in, and that's exactly what they're going to get tomorrow at 2 when Westside plays Wyoming East. Only the second time that these two teams have met in this tournament.
Well, let's back up through the course of the week. There have been some great ball games played this week at the Big Atlantic Classic. I know you've been there for the bulk of them. Let's talk about just a few games. We'll highlight a few of these games here. One of them being Westside. How impressive were the Renegades in running a very good Bluefield basketball team right out of the Raleigh County Armory earlier this week?
Well, yeah, that game was very interesting. It was a wholesale domination score-wise by Westside. The funny thing is, Westside had 24 turnovers against that Bluefield, what a lot of people call elite pressure in AA, because they are so athletic, so fast, and they get up right up on you. 24 turnovers by Westside, and they win the game by 29 points. Did so by shooting very impressively. Good shooting. I think Jacob Ellis had 22 points. Shane Jenkins and Corey Hatfield. Corey Hatfield, they're big. They both had 19 points. Corey Hatfield added 17 points. Just a great bounce back, if you will, after Westside had lost to number 2 Chapmanville by 5 points in Chapmanville on Saturday. They come back and beat Bluefield on Tuesday by 29.
Very impressive indeed. And also maybe the finish of the tournament was the Class A boys game, Valley Fayette and Pocahontas County. It came down to the last 5 seconds, Valley Fayette getting a win and getting a bucket with 5 seconds left to win that game 52-50.
I got to give my alma mater a shout out, Valley, winning that tournament. Spencer Dean with the game winner. And I thought that Pocahontas County was in good shape. They had the ball and about 14 seconds left. They tried to go long. Adam Falbo is beat by a step, but he's an old defensive back, played defensive back for the football team. He told me after the game he was able to get that step back. And one thing you could do in football was you can't do in football is face guard. And he said he was able to face guard there, knock the ball away, and I think Spencer Dean got it, and the Hounds got the ball back, and Dean able to score with about 3 seconds left, and Hounds hold on, remain undefeated, now 11-0.
So looking through the tournament right now, Martinsburg and Greenbrier East boys are playing today, tomorrow. Another full day of action, and that will include a Westside Wyoming East boys game, and should be a lot of fun. Dave Morrison, I know you've got to get back to covering basketball tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, guys, I appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. That's Dave Morrison covering the Big Atlantic Classic at the Raleigh County Armory, and what a fun event that is, too. And again, I know there were some people who were a little bit upset with the lateness of the schedule, but I will say this. When you combine that one of the main people involved is the governor of West Virginia, who also runs the Greenbrier, which is hosting the Republican lawmakers retreat, and the president visited yesterday.
The vice president
the day before. That schedule,
he's got a big
fluctuates a little bit. Yeah, so I think it can be forgiven this particular year that things were a little bit helter-skelter getting going. But from what I've heard, people who have gone to the event say it's been handled really well. So
wasn't there another big upset or a big win, I think, for Wyoming East? They knocked off Parkersburg a couple nights ago as well.
Yeah, the Wyoming East girls avenged one of their 2 losses this year, which was at Parkersburg. They lost by 18 up there, and then they go to the Raleigh County Convention Center. Parkersburg and Wyoming East wanted to play each other in that first game. They did, and the Warriors were able to get the win over the Big Red. And so that will set up a George Washington game tomorrow with Wyoming East. And that should be a very good AA, AAA girls basketball game tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We're going to step aside now, take our second break. When we come back, we'll have another check of the scoreboard. We'll also go back to the phone lines. We've got a whole lot to talk about, including the Christian tournament. within the state of West Virginia. That's when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues. This is break 2 along the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Call us, be part of the show. 855-784-6677, 855-784-6677. Give us an update on your team's game. You can tweet, text, email, or give us a call tonight. Go to basketballnight.com. Find out how you can connect with the show. Jaden Lindsay, Jacob Clark, Cole Honecker, Sydney Nestor, Isaiah Morgan, Deja Busby, Drew Williamson. And tonight, it'll be a new Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Every week, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You could nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab, fill out the nomination form, we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Many ways you can connect with us. Follow us on Twitter. You can watch us on Periscope there, at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Shout out to some of our newest followers tonight: J.D. Kane, Doug Dean, Sean Flynn, Anna T., Shiloh Bailey.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
9:32 on the program. Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville and Craig Dutton of WRRR. Yep, that's 4 references. And happy to have you along here with us on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We'll go to the phones in just a moment. We're going to talk about the Christian Association Tournament with Brian Sexton of Calvary Baptist Academy in Hurricane. We'll talk about that with him in just a moment. But right now, it's time to do another check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard. This is the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. I'll do the top half of the boys' games. Craig will do the bottom half of the boys' games, and then Joe will turn it over to you for the girls' games. So let's start it off with boys' basketball action tonight within the state of West Virginia, and specifically the Big Atlantic Classic. Parkersburg defeats Princeton tonight, 64-51. It was University going to 13-1 as the Hawks defeat Hedgesville, 65-52. Cameron is 13-3. The Dragons go to Shady Side, Ohio, and leave with a victory. At the half, it is Hannibal River, Ohio, leading Magnolia 28-16. The Pilots with the lead. Pendleton County, now a final, has defeated Moorfield 56-48. It was Steubenville Catholic Central, Ohio 54, Oak Glen 45. Wheeling Central goes to 15-1. The Maroon Knights defeat Parkersburg Catholic tonight 96-80. High-scoring basketball game tonight between those two. Also, Woodrow Wilson in the Big Atlantic Classic holding serve in the Raleigh County Armory against Hampshire. It was the Flying Eagles picking up an 89-41 victory. Parkersburg South at the half in the Anna's Army game tonight, leading Wheeling Park 46-29 is the score in that one. The Patriots playing excellent basketball, the Parkersburg South Patriots. Wheeling Park not bad either, 9-2 coming in. Also, final score, Notre Dame defeats Charleston Catholic 81-76.
Huntington Highlanders on the road get a win at South Charleston tonight Michael Dawson, 40 points and 10 rebounds in his double-double effort this evening. Musselman Appleman at home are leading Jefferson Cougars 48-38 at the end of the third period. Nitro at home time with a big 95-57 win over Lincoln County. Now push him to 14-2 on the season. Logan Wildcats at home tonight with a 74-38 victory over the Scott Skyhawks. Mingo Central taking on one of the many rivals throughout the southern part of the state here, the Miners, with a 86-52 win over the Wayne Pioneers. Parkersburg South Patriots, I believe they got that in there twice.
It is in there twice.
Well, we'll go on to Ravenswood. Red Devils at home time with a 75-63 win over Tyler Consolidated. Help improve the Red Devils standing in the Little Canal Conference at this point. And final score, Southern Garrett with a road victory at Tucker County, 57-49. Williamstown Yellow Jackets, through 3 periods, are leading the Wirt County Tigers 39-24.
And now let's take a look at some girls' scores from across the state. In the consolation game at the Big Atlantic Classic in the girls' division, it was the Parkersburg Big Reds over the Red Dragons of St. Albans, 63-55. Parkersburg Lady Big Reds now 12-4 on the season. It was Riverside over Capital tonight, 53-30. Parkersburg Catholic, the Crusaders, over Trinity Warriors, 68-55. And it was the Hampshire Trojans over Bishop Walsh, Maryland, 57-26. And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
Thank you very much. We'll talk with Joe McCoy, the head coach of the Valley Fayette Boys, in just a moment. But let's go back to the phone lines. Brian Sexton is a PA broadcaster and for Calvary Baptist Academy, the Patriots, and part of the West Virginia Christian Association tournament. He joins us now on the Oh, shoot, guys. We need to call him back. I hit the wrong button.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
The wrong red button.
Okay. For those who, and I've done this like twice total.
This is only the second time.
But,
I'll give you.
but the 2 4-letter words talk and drop are right next to each other, and I hit the wrong one. So
you have a little twitch. You could hit the wrong button.
Yeah, we're gonna give Brian Sexton just a second here, and we'll get him right back up and going. But there we go. Brian Sexton joins us now on the program, and first off, Brian, very sorry about that. Don't have him just yet. We will have him momentarily.
I like their acronym, though, WVCAT, the West Virginia CAT tournament.
Yeah.
Neat.
And it's in.
I reached the cell phone of Brian.
Oh, no.
Available at the present.
Well, it's not Lady this week.
No.
Let's go on to Joe McCoy.
Yeah, we will come back because I do want to talk about that with Brian Sexton. I believe we have him now. Let's go back to the phones. And Brian, so sorry for that.
Hey, Ryan, no problem. How you guys doing tonight? Joe, Craig?
Doing excellent, especially now that I hit the right button. I feel a little bit better now. I hit the wrong button just a second. I apologize for that. But nonetheless, Calvary Baptist Academy, let's talk a little bit about the Patriots and the type of season that ball club's having so far.
Well, Ryan, tonight we were at Ohio Valley Christian up in Gallipolis and put a hurting on the defenders up here, 86-43, run our record to 19-4 on the season. We've got a 6-game winning streak going, and it's been a great year so far this year. I want to share a stat with you guys, and a lot of the listeners out there that don't know a lot about our program or a lot about Christian school basketball in general. Last year, starting with last season, this is now we're now 49-7 in the last 2 years. We're defending champions of the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament. And, again, having a great season this year and poised to make another deep run in that tournament. And, again, we've just had a really good season this year, led by junior point guard Isaac Massey, who averages about 18.5 points a game for us. Had only 8 tonight, but, again, he didn't play a whole lot. We had a pretty comfortable lead early and decided not to play our guys much. But our 2-guard, Luke Pauly, had 25 tonight. So he's our second leading scorer on the team as well. He's a sophomore.
Also, in a win against Hannon earlier this week, an 18-point victory over Hannon. Robert Clutter, who is a sophomore and comes off the bench and scores 17. So Patriots have some people who put the ball in the basket with regularity.
Well, and Massey, Ryan, and Isaac Massey and Robert Clutter and Robert's twin brother Roger transferred over from Covenant this year, so that made us a lot deeper coming off the bench. And we have a young man, Zach Richards, 6'3" senior, that starts for us in the middle, and then Robert comes off the bench. He's just better coming off the bench, Ryan, to be perfectly honest, and is more comfortable in that role. And anytime that you can bring 6'5" and athleticism off the bench, it just gives us another look, gives us another dimension, makes us go that much longer and that much deeper.
Hey, Brian, this is Joe Linville. Let's talk a little bit about your schedule. That record over the last 2 seasons, very impressive. But let's talk about some of your opponents. You play Christian schools as well as some public schools as well, I understand.
Yeah, Joe, we again, as Ryan mentioned, we played Hannon last night. We played Point Pleasant. We've done a home-and-home with Hannon this year. Had Point Pleasant at our place, returning a game that we had up here last year with Point Pleasant. And, we'll have the Man Hillbillies coming into our place a week from this Monday night. So, yeah, we mix it up. We play Christian schools primarily, but we played Sissonville this year. That was one of our losses. We took them on in the Hoops Classic there at West Virginia State, and Sissonville's a good team. They were very physical with us, and it was a 4-point game. They were just a little bit tougher and stronger than we were that day. But again, our big rivals: Cross Lanes Christian, Tays Valley Christian, Wood County Christian School. We play Covenant, and so again, yeah, we play a lot of Christian schools, but we also mix it up and play some single and double A schools as well.
A couple of weeks away from the West Virginia Christian Athletic Tournament. That will be at the Summersville Convention Center from February 15th through the 17th, Thursday through Saturday in 2 weeks. So looking forward to that. Brian, thanks so much for joining us, and thanks a lot for sharing a little bit about some of the Christian schools that maybe a lot of folks out there don't know a lot about.
Yeah, Ryan, Joe, Craig, good to be on with you guys. And again, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That's Brian Sexton of Calvary Baptist Academy. That's in Hurricane. And the Patriots, again, having a great season. Let's go. We have to go right back to the phones because we're in a tight turn here. A team that's doing very well in Class Single A, undefeated, in fact. The Valley Fayette Greyhounds, they picked up an outstanding tight win over Pocahontas County to win the Big Atlantic Classic Boys A Division. Joe McCoy is the head coach of the Greyhounds. He joins us now. And Coach, first off, congratulations on the Big Atlantic Classic championship.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Outstanding start to the season. Now, as we're just about beyond the halfway point, Valley Fayette undefeated on the season at 11-0. What has been the big key to your team's success?
Well, I think it goes with my seniors core there with Spencer Dean and Nick Gibson. Spencer was a third-string All-State last year, and Nick was a honorable mention, and they have one's average. Spencer's average about 18 points, and Nick's average about 16 points, and they're doing a pretty good job with role players. All these kids are returning from last year, so it's been a good thing for them.
And we'll talk with Spencer Dean in just a few moments, actually. But I want to get your perspective on the game-winning basket against Pocahontas County. Able to get kind of a run out there from half court, and Spencer Dean able to give your team a win.
Well, yeah, I think it was like 14 seconds. Pocahontas had the ball, and the game was tied, and they threw it kind of deep, and Adam Falbo made a nice defensive play on it. And then we got the ball back and called timeout there with about 8 seconds, and we was going to run we have an out-of-bounds play where we run a pick off. We was going to run a pick with Nick and Spencer, and I don't know, I don't know if the kid flopped or what, was trying to draw a foul, but Spencer got open and went to the basket and scored with about 2 or 3 seconds to go, and we won the ball game.
Yeah, what an outstanding game that was, and in that venue and with the stakes at hand, also a lot of fun as well. So looking ahead in the schedule, your ball club with a home game with Meadow Bridge next week, as well as a game with Trinity Christian, that game at West Virginia State University, and then 1 week from tonight, the Sherman Tide, a road trip. So a busy week coming up for the Greyhounds.
Yeah, well, we got canceled tonight, and we're going to make it up tomorrow with Summers County. You know, they're not doing, you know, they're doing pretty good this year too, and you know, go into Meadow Bridge and then play Trinity. You know, one thing about it from where we are, you know, the weather really hurts when they cancel school. It really bothers our schedule. Now we're getting to play 3 to 4 games a week and all the way up to sectionals.
Yeah, so definitely have to find that balance of getting games in but not wearing out your players. This is Joe McCoy, head coach of the Valley Fayette Greyhounds, 11-0 as they head into a 3-game or basically a 4-game stretch in the next 7 days. Coach, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Again, that's head coach Joe McCoy of the Valley Fayette Greyhounds. We'll step aside, take our third break, come back with more on basketball Friday night in West Virginia. West McKinney, we'll talk Princeton Parkersburg, and we'll talk with Spencer Dean, who had the game-winning bucket. We'll also have video of that game-winning basket as well against Pocahontas County in the Big Atlantic Classic. This is basketball Friday night in West Virginia, our third break along the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday night scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. All it takes is one click to watch. You can also watch us on Facebook Live. Go to RSN Sports. You can watch us on Facebook Live or Twitter. We're on Periscope at @hoops_roundup. And statewide, we're on Network West Virginia if you're a Suddenlink subscriber. We want you to become part of the Basketball Friday night family, and we'd like for you to become a correspondent and update us on your team's games. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Call the show tonight. We want to hear from you. 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. Give us an update on your team's game. You can tweet, text, email, or give us a call. Find out how by going to basketballnight.com. Special thanks to all of our affiliates carrying Basketball Friday night in West Virginia tonight. Don't forget to check out our Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Go to basketballnight.com and nominate your team's athletes. Also, this week's poll question, go to the website. Should dunking be allowed during all of pregame? Tell us what you think. Vote yes or no. You've got till 11:45 tonight. Shout out to some of our newest Twitter followers this week, including Jason Chambers, Casey Hinchman, Eric McMahon, William Clay, and Patsy Kennedy. They're all part of the Basketball Friday night in West Virginia family.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
9:48 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Craig Dutton of WRRR, as well as Joe Linville. Happy to have you along here on Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on this Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2018.
Did you see your shadow this morning?
You know, it was the sun did come out this morning, and so yeah.
It depends on what time you were outside, I guess.
You know, my feelings on Puxatawny Phil, French Creek Freddie, all those wonderful prognosticators of the weather is that when they predict 6 more weeks of winter, those rodents need to go. But when they, talk about an early spring, which is not what they did this time, but those just just reviled, not reviled, but
celebration.
Yeah, we celebrate the groundhog on that day, but not today. The groundhog just wasn't.
I have more of a concern. I'm going to wake up in the morning. It's going to be Groundhog Day again at 6 a.m.
There you go. There you go. You hear Sonny and Cher at 6 a.m. I'm going to tell you what's going on there. But let's go back to the phones. We'll go to Fred Sorrow in just a moment. First, I want to go to Wes McKinney, WAEY in Princeton, as he had the call today of Princeton and Parkersburg boys basketball in the Big Atlantic Classic. Parkersburg getting the win over Princeton. The Tigers now 7-5 after that loss. And Wes, first off, a familiar opponent from the old MSAC days, but nonetheless, first time Princeton and Parkersburg have battled in a while, and the Big Reds today 13 points better.
Yeah, well, first off, guys, I'd just like to say that I wish we could play Parkersburg every Friday night at 4 o'clock in Beckley. It just makes things so much simpler. You're home by like 7:30. It's just a great thing.
You can watch or listen to another game, right?
Exactly. But guys, Parkersburg, I know they've been opening up some eyes here recently with the wins they've gotten. Beckley last Friday, they have a win over South Charleston as well. And Parkersburg doesn't blow you away, but their half-court defense is very, very, very good. And that was really Princeton's problem today is when Princeton got out in transition, they had success, but when they had to run stuff in the half-court, Parkersburg just suffocated the Tigers. And it was a tale of two halves. Princeton trailed by 15 at halftime, and actually outscored Parkersburg by 2 points in the second half, but just dug that early hole. But I think this was a really good game for Princeton because they haven't had a chance to play too many AAA teams this year, and obviously Parkersburg is a very good AAA team. I think they're going to be right there, with the other teams in their section, Huntington, Parkersburg South, and some others in that section, come the 1st of March to try to get to Charleston. But very good barometer for Princeton. I don't think the Tigers have a ton to be ashamed of today. I thought they played, about as well as they could against a really, really good defensive-minded team.
Princeton's 3-game winning streak broken in the process. Hadn't played, though, in a full week, and it's just nice to get back out on the court.
Yeah, it is. Princeton was supposed to play on Tuesday night against Nicholas County. That game got pushed to the middle of February here because of weather. So hopefully Princeton here, I know the weather's not real conducive for at least the next week down here in southern West Virginia. I know we've got some more weather coming Sunday, and then I believe either Wednesday or Thursday. But hopefully Princeton can string some games together here without, a week break. Tomorrow, an early call for Princeton. They're back on the court in Beckley at 10:40 a.m., and it looks like it's most likely going to be against Greenbrier East, a team that Princeton's already beaten by 30 this year. So a chance, hopefully, for Princeton to get back on the winning track tomorrow morning, guys.
Also a busy week as we look ahead quickly. Next week, a home game with Mountain View, and then a trip up Route 219 to Linside to take on James Monroe. So 3 games between now and the next time we'll speak for the Tigers, and 7-5 on the season, and they'll look to get back on the winning path tomorrow, and likely against Greenbrier East in the Big Atlantic Classic consolation game. Wes McKinney, WAEY, always a pleasure.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, we appreciate that as well. And let's go to Fred Sorrow right now, the head coach of the Williamstown Girls. He has been the coach there since 1985. He joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Coach Sorrow, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
Coach Sorrow, of course, we had your broadcast where you first made it back to Williamstown after getting that win at South Harrison on January the 13th over South Harrison. You got to play Tyler Consolidated. And since then, you've strung wins over Tyler, Ritchie, Southern, and Federal Hockey. And, of course, you have to make the Work County game last night was canceled, but now you stand at 504 for your career. Does it feel like you can get another 500 in you?
I don't know. I'm 70 years old. that would be very, very difficult.
Well,
to do.
that's putting him on the spot.
And just keep rolling. As long as I stay alive, maybe we might get a few more in there. I don't know. I'm hoping. I tell you what, it's been really a lot of fun. And when I look back on it, it sure doesn't seem like I started coaching in 1969, 70 school year, and I've been a head coach for 38 years. This is my 38th year as a head coach. I've been assistant also, but this is my 49th year of high school basketball, and as a head coach, like I say, 38 years, and it's been very rewarding and a lot of fun. It keeps an old guy like me younger, that's for sure.
What changes have you seen in that period of time?
Well, I think the biggest change that has come about in the game, people want to talk about the kids being different. Oh, kids are so different today. No, I think they have more distractions, but I don't think they're really that different. They want somebody to care about them. They want somebody to encourage them. They want to be good at something, and some of the motivation for them playing is maybe a little bit different, but still they want to be with their friends. They want to build some memories. Those types of things. I don't think the kids have really changed that much, and people keep saying that, and I don't believe it. The other thing is the biggest change as far as the game's concerned has been the three-point line. The three-point line has changed things defensively. It has changed things, offensively. It's just that one extra point. But how you stretch your defense, what does the scouting report say? My son always says that. What does the scouting report say? Even if a kid can make 3 or 4 of them, you better get out on him. And it's created more opportunities for interior people, too. So I think the three-point line's been a huge change.
And that is something that's certainly changed the game of basketball. It's been, I think, 31 seasons now since that was put into effect. And Coach, we've got about a minute before the end of the break. Yeah, right? Already 31? Anyway, but we got about a minute before we go to break here, so we'll have to do this real fast. But tomorrow, your girls go to the Pit in Ravenswood, and that's a difficult place to play.
It most certainly is. And we played very well against them last time, but make no mistake about it, they're going to be a formidable opponent. They're going to come at us with everything they got. And it's a big game for us because if we do, see, we have a brand new team. We had 6 seniors last year, and we went to the state finals. We worked our way in there, and the kids did a great job. We upset number 3 and number 2 to make it to get to play the team I thought was the best in the state. So it's a new team, and we're really tickled with them. And they're 12-4 right now, and really excited. And so they're looking forward to the game. But it's going to be a tough one, that's for sure.
Brett Sorrow, the head coach of the Williamstown Yellow Jackets girls team. Thanks so much for joining us. We've got to go to our 4th break. When we come back, we will talk with Spencer Dean of the Valley Fayette Greyhounds. He had the game-winning bucket in the Big Atlantic Classic Class A championship game against Pocahontas County. We will have that video as well if you're watching on TV or on the web stream. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. 1 hour down, 2 to go on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates, great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Carry Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, including 103.7 Jack FM, WQWV in Fisher, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM, WKKX Wheeling, and 1370 AM WVLY Moundsville. Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio 92.5 FM, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley, Knights Radio 91.5 FM, WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM, The Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW in Logan, Light Rock, 93R, WRRR St. Mary's, 93.9 FM, The Ticket, 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton, The greatest oldies of all time, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZLP, Edmond, Beckley. Tune for you, Yap Radio, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP in Clay. And Marshall University's flagship station, The Cutting Edge, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. If you're a cable subscriber, you can find us statewide on Suddenlink's Network West Virginia. In the Huntington region, cable subscribers to Comcast can find us on Channel 25. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
Hour 2 of the fastest 3 hours in radio begins here on the Fast Break Sports Network. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside of Joe Linville and Craig Dutton making the trip from WRRR to join us in studio here tonight on the campus of Marshall University, hosted by WMUL FM, the student broadcast voice of Marshall University. In our studios here in the communications building on campus, we thank Marshall University for all it does for us as well. And speaking of Marshall University, we'll get a scoreboard in a second. First, I do want to say that we will talk with Spencer Dean in a moment of the Valley Fayette boys basketball team. He had the game-winning bucket in the Class A Big Atlantic Classic Championship game. We'll have that video for you as well. But first, it is time for our next check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
And starting off in boys, 64-51 win for the Parkersburg Big Reds over the Princeton Tigers, as Wes McKinney mentioned earlier. University Hawks also in the Big Atlantic Classic with a 65-52 win over Hedgesville tonight. Cameron with the upset on the road, taking on the Shady Side Tigers of Ohio, 46-44 the final, as the Dragons improved to 13-3 on the season. Final score from New Martinsville, the River Pilots remain undefeated, I believe at a perfect 16-0, as they defeat the Magnolia Blue Eagles 75-32. Pendleton County on the road at Moorfield with a 56-48 win tonight. Steubenville Central Catholic 54-45 over Oak Glen. Wheeling Central, high-scoring game. They put up a bigger rim tonight, I believe, at Wheeling Central. 96-80 win over Parkersburg Catholic to prove them to 15-1. Their only loss to Mars area, I think Mars Academy from Pennsylvania.
The Planets.
The Planets, yeah.
Unfortunately, not the Martians. Yeah.
So again, Wheeling Central still a formidable opponent this season in Class A with the big win tonight over Catholic. Parkersburg Catholic to be exact. Woodrow Wilson over Hampshire 89-41. Parkersburg South Patriots, just final. I saw on my phone, updated here on our scoreboard. The Patriots with a 77-60 win over Wheeling Park, to now give the Patriots their 11th straight victory on the season. Gilmer County defeats their arch-rival Calhoun County 63-57. Notre Dame Fighting Irish over Charleston Catholic Irish 81-76. Clay County 58-46 over Roane County.
Continuing on the boys' side of the scoreboard, it was the Huntington Highlanders downing South Charleston tonight 89-52. Michael Dawson with 40 points and 10 rebounds in that game. It was Musselman over Jefferson, or actually that's the end of the third quarter score. Musselman leads Jefferson 48-38. In a final, the Nitro Wildcats big win over Lincoln County 95-57. Another big win, 4 in a row now for the Logan Wildcats. They go 11-5 on the season with a win over the Scott Skyhawks at Willie Acres Arena 74-38. It was Domingo Central Miners picking up another Cardinal Conference win tonight over the Wayne Pioneers 86-52. Parkersburg South winners tonight. This is actually correction. This is the end of the third quarter score. They lead Wheeling Park 55-42. In a final, it was Winfield over Pocus 77-46. Ravenswood, the Red Devils stroll right along 14-1 with a win tonight over Tyler Consolidated 75-63. Southern Garrett, Maryland downs Tucker County tonight 57-49. At the end of the third quarter, it is Williamstown leading Wirt County 39-24. And the Martinsburg Bulldogs over Greenbrier East, or leading Greenbrier East 39-18. Not sure that's a final in the Big Atlantic Classic.
That game in progress. Girls basketball tonight. Big Atlantic Classic Girls Consolation game. Parkersburg defeats St. Albans 63-55. Valley Wetzel picks up a win over the 100 Hornets tonight 67-10. Also tonight, it was Petersburg improving to 7-10 as the Vikings defeat Berkeley Springs 52-36 the final in that one. Riverside goes to 4-13 as Capital remains winless. The Warriors get the victory over the Cougars tonight 53-30. It was Parkersburg Catholic going to a perfect 17-0 with a 13-point road win over the Trinity Warriors, 68-55 the final in that one. And Hampshire defeats Bishop Walsh, Maryland. The Trojans now 12-6 with a 57-26 victory tonight. That's a check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Of course, so many big games going on over the course of the past week at the Big Atlantic Classic at the Raleigh County Armory. And the best finish, though, was far and away the boys' A title game to this point. Still some basketball left to be played tonight and tomorrow. But Valley Fayette picking up a 2-point win over Pocahontas County. And do we have the video, guys? Let's roll the video and show everyone how that game ended. This was with 5 seconds to go, and inbounds pass down the sideline to Spencer Dean, who was able to drive baseline and score. A three-quarter court shot from Pocahontas County at the buzzer fell short, and Valley Fayette was able to pick up an exciting, very exciting 52-50 win over Pocahontas County. Spencer Dean joins us now on the program. He hit that game-winning shot. And Spencer, first off, congratulations on the win, and second, take me through what happened there down the stretch and in those final 8 seconds in Raleigh County.
Well, first off, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. There was a lot of events that led up to that point. Nick Gibson got a rebound to tie up the game with about 13 seconds left. And as Super Dave mentioned earlier, Adam Falbo did a great job playing on the ball as they try to go deep with about 13 seconds left. And I picked up the ball with dribbled past half court with 8 seconds left. I'm not sure if the guy tripped over my shoe or what with 8 seconds left, but he kind of fell to the ground, which kind of just threw off the play a little bit. But Luca Giannini made a good pass to me. I was able to drive baseline, scored, and I was kind of hard to play defense. I was so excited when they had no timeouts left, so I was fortunate to get the win.
Outstanding ball game in that one. Your ball club is 11-0, and we talked with your head coach just a moment ago, and he was talking about the difficulties of just getting games in due to weather. And how's that been as a player, having to adjust to having so many? You're ready to play one day and then it snows and then you can't play and it gets pushed back, and all of a sudden you're going to be playing 3 and 4 games a week here for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, I tell you this, I hate the snow on game days, but I love it on the other days. But, the snow sucks. We're trying to adjust playing 3-4 games a week, but, the snow is making it hard, and, it's hard to get practices in, hard to try to build back up that chemistry after you're not playing for a week. I think we went one time about 20 days without playing, which really hurt us. But we were able to get a couple wins in the process, and we're still 11-0. We're thankful for that, and we hope we can keep that going tomorrow with Summers County.
Spencer, this is Joe Linville. What I was just thinking when you were talking there about going so long without games, with some of the policies that the school systems have about no school, no games, but your team is still successful. How are you guys keeping the continuity up amongst yourself and the passion to continue to play the ball day in and day out?
I think mainly it's the chemistry we have together. We've been playing together since my sophomore year and my juniors, the freshman year. We've been together through this process. We've been through the ups and downs, and we all just want to compete. That's all we all want to do is just play games, and we're going out there and we're playing hard each and every night, and we're trying to build up those wins and trying to stay undefeated. And it's hard because everybody's gunning for you and they want to knock you off, but I think we're doing a really good job of keeping our composure and doing whatever it takes to win.
That was your first game that was under 10 points of a differential against Pocahontas County. Tell me about playing in a game that, you guys have won games by double figures all year long. Now you were in a tight game and you were still able to come through. Tell me about the difference in playing in one of those tight ball games at the end when maybe it's not something you've been accustomed to this particular year.
The night before that, we played the Van Bulldogs, which is a really good team as well, and Taylor Jarrell is probably one of the better players in the state. We held him to about 10 points, which we were shocked about, and Adam Faba did a great job that night. And we come from behind in that game, and we were able to finish the job off by double digits. But we knew coming in that next day that Pocahontas County is a tough team. They're not ranked 6th for no reason. So we came out there and we struggled. We came back from, I think our biggest deficit was 8. Made a run in the third quarter, take the lead on and off. Lead changed, I think, about 12 times in that game, and it came down to the end where, again, that shot, it still gets me every time I listen to it or watch it.
Hey, Spencer, this is Craig Dutton. Of course, one thing that's seen in single A ball right now, we're seeing teams like Ravenswood, Wheeling Central. They're putting up a lot of points offensively. That's one thing I've noticed. You mentioned there, you shut down Gerald to 10 points. Maybe there's just not a lot of teams playing defense. How much does Coach McCoy stress the defensive side of the ball with you guys?
Defense is number one. Coach McCoy and Coach Mitchell, they do a great job of emphasizing defense. We can't score the ball if we don't play defense, is what they say. We usually stick Adam on their best player because Adam is usually our best on-ball defender. But we sometimes put Luca Giannini on him or Nate Kincaid. They're both really good defenders as well. Luca comes off the bench. He's our Devin Williams of last year who graduated. He comes off the bench. He gives that spark. Great playmaker, can shoot the ball well, and he plays good defense. Nate does a great job playing defense as well. Adam. And Nick's a feisty defender. He's a 6-foot guy that's averaging a double-double right now. I would take Nick Gibson on my team any day over anybody. He's a player, man. He's a player.
Spencer Dean of the undefeated Valley Fayette boys team, thanks so much for joining us. Great start to the season. Wish you guys the best of luck as we move forward.
Thank you guys for having me again. I really appreciate it.
All right, and again, guys, he hits that game-winning shot against Pocahontas County, and you see the reaction, and that meant something. That Big Atlantic Classic game meant a lot to that ball club.
I think you're going to see a lot more of those celebrations as the season goes on because Pocahontas defeated my alma mater, St. Mary's, by a hefty margin, 50 points the week before, and for them to be able to shut down a high-power offensive team like Pocahontas, that means a lot. And coming postseason time, we may see a lot more of that.
And he was and spoke very highly of Taylor Jarrell of Van, who eclipsed the 1,500-point mark this past week for the Van Bulldogs, and they held him to 10 points. That's saying something right there defensively.
Another player who is approaching the 1,500-point mark is the all-time leading scorer in boys or girls basketball at Wayne High School. Her name is Ariel Adkins. She joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And Ariel, my first question to you, what's more nerve-wracking, playing basketball or doing this interview?
Definitely doing this interview.
Ariel, your ball club is 17-1. Picked up a big win last night over Logan. 61-44 was the final in that one. You guys beat Logan by 6 on the road earlier this year, and then able to turn around and win by 17 at home. What was the biggest difference for you in those two basketball games?
Our defense, especially. Our coach stresses that so much throughout practice and so much before our games. He has it written on our board in our locker room, and he has it circled. And our big thing is that we can't win a game without defense, and I really think that was a major factor in that game.
And also, and you did get the coach reference in, so you're good there. But nonetheless, moving forward as well, you had 39 points in the win at Logan last night. A much more pedestrian number, but at the same time, your team was as equally, if not more successful. I get the idea watching you play that you don't force a whole lot. Those individual numbers really don't mean a whole lot to you.
No, they don't. I love being able to get my team involved because, I don't know, I trust my team. I love to get them shots, and we can't win. There's no such thing as 1-on-5. Like, we can't do it. I can't do it by myself, and there's no way we'd be 17-1 without everybody being involved.
And tell me about playing in an atmosphere like last night, which was probably one of the more well-attended home games, at least in the last couple of years, for your ball club, and just kind of seeing the community starting to rally around your basketball team and knowing that, they've got your back all through the course of the season now as you head down the home stretch.
I love it, and I love those kind of games and the atmosphere. I really think that it gives our team a lot more confidence knowing that we have people there to support us and have our backs no matter win or lose. But I really think that it helps us, and it just, I don't know. We just love having everybody there to support us because we've been through a lot, and knowing that we still have people there, we really appreciate it.
Ariel, this is Joe Linville. Looking at your schedule, you've only got 4 regular season games left. It's hard to believe that we're that far into the season. But a couple of those opponents are going to be fairly tough to contend with as you wind out. Of course, you've got Point Pleasant, Sissonville, then Chapmanville's very talented, and Mingo Central as well. And they're a much improved team, probably from the first time you played them.
Yeah, we have some big games coming up. It's nerve-wracking, but I think we have our mind straight, and we're really focused. We're really working hard in practice because we're here to prove ourselves because a lot of people doubt us, and they still do. So we're coming out, and we're ready to show people what we're made of. We're tired of people doubting us.
Well, this is Craig Dutton there, Ariel, of course. I'm sure Ryan can help me out a little bit on this, but I see there's another Atkins on your roster there, Lakin. How much is she a support to you on the court? And does she ever challenge you a little bit each night going out there each game?
Lakin has challenged me since we were little.
That's what I hope for.
Yeah, she really has. Being able to play with her, especially her after her surgery, is probably my favorite thing. She's really like the heart of our team. We're all always so nervous, and she's the one that breaks the ice and calms us all down, and she pushes us, but we just love having her there. We really wouldn't be the team without her.
Ariel Atkins, the all-time leading scorer at Wayne High School, boys or girls. She set that record going over the 1,400-point mark for her career in a win at Meigs, Ohio, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and this little inside joke, but Ariel, you did that despite your father. Overcoming the gene pool there and still having success. Hi, Charlie. Nice to see you as well. But nonetheless, Ariel Atkins, thanks so much for joining us, and looking forward to watching you and the Lady Pioneers down the stretch.
Thank you. All
right, we're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Rick Leach, head coach of the Tyler Consolidated Boys, and Eric Little of WVVV in Parkersburg, the Anna's Army game, Parkersburg South and Wheeling Park, always a special night. And we'll talk about that in depth when we get back. Also, our standout athlete of the week, because Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
This is high school basketball's voice in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Coming up, you're going to meet our newest Basketball Night in West Virginia Standout Athlete of the Week. They're going to join Jaden Lindsay, Jacob Clark, Cole Honecker, Sydney Nestor, Isaiah Morgan, Deja Busby, and Drew Williamson. If you've got someone remarkable on your team or an athlete that made an outstanding play, you can nominate your team's athletes to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab, and we'll take it from there. Does showing up for work at a ballpark or an arena sound good to you? A Marshall University sports journalism degree can get you there. Sports journalism at Marshall is important. It's serious and it's big business. Sports media and communications careers are some of the most competitive and marketable worldwide in a multi-billion-dollar industry. We'll prepare you to think critically, report accurately, and artfully tell the stories on and off the field or court. If this sounds like you, the Marshall School of Journalism is ready and eager to start your journey. Learn more at marshall.edu/SOJMC. Follow us on Twitter tonight. Shout out to some of our newest Twitter followers, including J.D. Kane, Doug Dean, Sean Flynn, West Virginia, Rep Sports, Aaron Miller, Trent, Michelle Jones, Carrie, SMACC, and Michelle Jones. Thanks for joining us.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
10:21 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville with you. Craig Dutton also in studio with us tonight. Our special correspondent Luke Creasy now on the program to introduce us to this week's Standout Athlete of the Week.
Comes from Buchanan Upshur High School. Ashton Maxwell, a senior there for the Lady Bucks, and has been a remarkable athlete throughout her time there at Buchanan Upshur.
And she's someone that's overcome a little bit for her senior year just to get on the floor.
She has. It's been a long road for Maxwell to be able to get to where she is now. She's I mentioned played multiple sports, a 4-year basketball athlete, 3 years in volleyball, and actually tried her hand at soccer. Tried her foot at soccer, I should say, this past season. But it's been a long road, but she's overcome and she's back.
She played keeper, so she tried her hands too. It was all good. But there's a ball club too that is was it the AAA state runner-up a year ago. So many expectations for them this year, and I mean it's almost unfair the expectations for that ball club.
Well, that team got a taste of what it was like to be a state champion, runner-up last year, as you mentioned, and a good run in the state tournament before that. This year, it seems like it's championship or bust for this Lady Bucks team, and off to a pretty good start to the year.
Luke Creasy now has more with our Standout Athlete of the Week, senior Ashton Maxwell of the Buchanan Upshur Lady Bucks.
All players dream of playing for a state championship. Few ever make it to Charleston. Fewer still play for the championship. When one comes so close and falls short, it makes those with eligibility remaining vow not to let that happen again. Defying all odds, championship players do everything humanly possible to overcome all obstacles in an effort to capture that elusive state title. Ashton Maxwell has faced more than her fair share of obstacles, and her pursuit of that ever-elusive state championship is what makes Maxwell this week's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia Standout Athlete of the Week. During her first 3 years at Buchanan Upshur High School, Maxwell was a two-sport athlete in basketball and volleyball. As with all players, they start the season with the goal of becoming a state champion. The previous year, Maxwell experienced what it was like to have that within her grasp, only to have it slip away. To her, it would mean everything to change that outcome.
The past 3 years going to states and then last year getting a state runner-up, being in that state championship game really makes you, it makes you know how exciting it really is to be out there. And
her coach, Jeremy Maxwell, who is also her cousin, said Ashton has pushed herself throughout her athletic career. She is determined to become a champion.
She's fought adversity her whole career, started having some back issues, which is one of the reasons why she played soccer, to kind of keep those back injuries down, and then she got an injury in soccer. It just seems like one thing after the next, but she's just been so strong in her faith and just a strong person in general. And when you have success, that breeds determination and hard work, and that's what I think has happened here.
Surprisingly, Maxwell's favorite sport was volleyball, then basketball. During her junior year, her volleyball career was jeopardized due to a back injury. That forced Maxwell to make a difficult choice.
I never dreamed that I would have quit to play soccer, but I really am glad that I did play soccer because it was very enjoyable. When I thought about the bigger picture and keeping my body healthy, I thought that soccer would have been a better option.
A difficult choice appeared to be the right choice. Things were going well as the season wound down.
One of the most devastating moments of my life. The first second that I dropped on the ground, my mom came out on the field with me, and I told her, I said, I'm out of basketball, and that's all I said the whole night.
With only 2 games remaining, Maxwell suffered a significant knee injury. She tore her ACL and both meniscus. Dealing with the initial shock of what happened to her, her father, Joe Maxwell, said his daughter thought the worst.
Obviously, she felt at that point that she was never going to get an opportunity to play basketball again in the first moments, but it didn't take long for her to realize that she at least wanted to give it a try, and she's done great.
As with all championship players, Maxwell has defied the odds. She is back on the basketball court for her senior season with her Lady Bucks. She is determined to make another championship run.
Because of my injury, a lot more people look up to me than what they might have if I wasn't injured, and being a role model and keeping my faith up gets hard sometimes because of the injury, but I know that I have to stay strong because there's people watching me and they know what I believe and how God works in my life, and I need to set an example for them.
Maxwell has found strength in knowing she's not alone.
When you have your community back you up as much as they have been, it makes you feel really special.
So far, so good. The Buchanan Upshur girls team is on top of the Class AAA girls standings. The Lady Bucks have just 1 loss through 19 games. Barring any unforeseen obstacles, Maxwell is determined to capture that elusive state title in her final chance to do so. For Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Luke Creasy.
Thank you very much, Luke. We'll talk with our standout athlete of the week, Ashton Maxwell, about 15 minutes from now, a little bit later on in the program. Let's go right back to the phones. We'll have to do this quickly here. Eric Little, WVVV. You know what? Wait. We'll go to Eric after the break. Let's take the break now. We'll then do a quick scoreboard update, and then we'll get to Eric Little. We'll talk with Rick Leach, head coach of the Tyler Consolidated Boys, and the most impressive stat line I think I've ever heard. We'll share that with you when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. You can go to basketballnight.com, go to the bottom of the page, click affiliates, and you can find a station near you. You'll hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Shout out to some of our latest followers this week, including David Sharp, Lisa Sharp, Todd Ryan, Kenny Green, Ryan Haran, Clinton Hackney, CJ, Lauren Friels, Ricky Bailey, Jackie Son, Jay Neely, Linda C. Gray, Clayton B., Chris Ray, Virgil Lee Davis, Cassie Wright, and Kevin Dunleavy. They joined Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia this week and became part of our score reporting crew. We want to thank everyone tonight that has sent us tweets and texts and emails. We appreciate you being part of the show and helping us cover all things high school basketball in West Virginia. Call us tonight, 855-784-6677. 855-784-6677. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
10:30 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville, and Craig Dutton of WRRR Radio with you tonight. We'll go to Eric Little in a moment. We'll also talk with Rick Leach of Tyler Consolidated, head boys basketball coach, and we'll talk with a young man who had what I think was the most impressive stat line I've ever seen. We'll also have our standout athlete of the week a little bit later on as well. But right now, it is time for the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. Joe, you lead us off with the boys' scores. I'll pick it up from the bottom half of those, and then Craig will have the girls' scores.
All right, taking a look at some scores from earlier today in the Big Atlantic Classic. It was the Parkersburg Big Reds over Princeton 64-31. University picked up a win over Hedgesville also in that same tournament 65-52. In a final, it was Cameron over Shadyside, Ohio tonight, 46-44. Frankfort picks up another win. They go to 10-4 on the season with a win over Mountain Ridge, Maryland, 65-52. It was Magnolia falling hard this evening to River Hannibal of Ohio, 75-32. Pendleton County picks up a win over Moorfield, 56-48. Oak Glen fell to Steubenville, Ohio, 54-45. Wheeling Central, just 4 points shy of the triple digits, 96-80 win over Parkersburg Catholic. It was another game from the Big Atlantic Classic today. Woodrow Wilson picked up a win over Hampshire, 89-41. Wheeling Park Wheeling Park losing tonight to Parkersburg South, 77-60. Gilmer County picks up a win over Calhoun County, 63-57. Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, over the Charleston Catholic Irish, 81-76. Clay County goes to 10-6 on the season with a win tonight over Roane County, 58-46.
Also tonight in boys high school basketball, Michael Dawson, 40 points and 10 rebounds as Huntington goes to South Charleston and routs the Black Eagles, 89-52. Huntington now 11-5 on the season. South Charleston drops to 9-5. Score from the end of the third quarter. We're still working to get a final on this one. Musselman had a 48-38 lead over Jefferson. Again, that's one that we're still working on to try to get a final on. Also tonight, final, it was Nitro 95, Lincoln County 57. Logan defeats Scott 74-38. Mingo Central defeats Wayne 86-52 on Minor Mountain tonight. Also, it was Winfield defeating Poca 77-46. It was Ravenswood going to 14-1 with a 75-63 win over Tyler Consolidated. Southern Garrett, Maryland picks up a 57-45 win at Tucker County. South Gallia, Ohio defeats Wahama 62-52 tonight in Mason. Also tonight, Williamstown goes to 13-5 as the Yellow Jackets defeat Wirt County 61-39. And in the Big Atlantic Classic, still working to get a final on this one, but Martinsburg had a significant lead on Greenbrier East.
Girls play tonight, Parkersburg Big Reds with a 63-55 win over St. Albans in the Big Atlantic Classic Girls Consolation. Valley Wetzel taking on their arch rival 100 tonight Tough night for the Lady Hornets, 67-10 victory for Valley Wetzel this evening. Also, Berkeley Springs on the road at Petersburg, a 52-36 win for the Lady Vikings. A 53-30 win for homestanding Riverside over Capital. Parkersburg Catholic improves to a perfect 17-0 on the season with a 68-55 win over the Trinity Lady Warriors. That was a road game over in Morgantown as well tonight. And homestanding Hampshire with a 57-26 win over Bishop Walsh, Maryland.
That is your check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism Basketball Night.com scoreboard. Let's go back to the phones to Eric Little, WVVV in Parkersburg. He had the Parkersburg South Wheeling Park boys game tonight. And Eric, it was a game between two teams that are having really good seasons. Parkersburg South continues its impressive run. But at the same time tonight, those were two of the secondary stories behind the Anna's Army game.
Yeah, this is always an emotional night when these two teams get together. We'll get to Anna's Army in a second because I have a lot to tell you there. Parkersburg South won their 11th straight. Again, and they ended a 6-game winning streak for Wheeling Park. 77-60 was the final tonight. South winning their 11th straight and moving to 13-1 on the season. Cole Plants really gets behind this cause. I've talked about Cole Plants a number of times. I think he should be in the discussion for Player of the Year in the state. 17 of his 25 points came in the first half. He had 12 rebounds in the game. He is someone who has a heart of gold, and I know he's someone who takes a lot of inspiration from Anna and Anna's Army. So for him to come out and have a big game like that is, first of all, not surprising to me, but second of all, something that I knew had to mean a lot to him on a personal level. I asked him about it after the game, and he said, I'm just glad to see the margin on the scoreboard, but I think deep down he really wanted to come out and do big things tonight. So he did that for Parkersburg South as, again, they win their 11th straight. But I want to thank you guys for letting me talk about Anna's Army last week on the show. That meant a lot, too, because I know, Ryan, you really segued me into that, and I appreciate the time. And I appreciate you giving me a little bit of time tonight to do so as well. If you don't know about the story, Anna Gordon is a student at West Virginia University of Parkersburg, a 2016 graduate of Parkersburg South. On the first day of her sophomore year, she found out she had Friedreich's ataxia, a rare neurological disorder. There is no cure. So she went to Mike Fallon that year and asked if they could have a benefit basketball game to raise money, raise awareness, and he said, of course, let's do it. And Wheeling Park was the opponent. Michael Jebbia, the head coach of the Wheeling Park Patriots, got on board. That's a classy program because they've willingly been the participants in this every year. Coach Jebbia talks about this to his health classes. He talked to his team about Anna last night. I know a lot of players on both sides, especially Wheeling Park, because they don't see her all the time. They'll come and take pictures with Anna after the game. She spoke in a pregame ceremony, and it's always an emotional time when she speaks because she's so eloquent as a speaker. She is always willingly and open, to talking about the need for a cure for Friedreich's ataxia. There is no cure, and the disease, or rather the side effects of Friedreich's ataxia will be fatal unless we find a cure for it. So very important that we raise awareness, and that's why this is one of the biggest games on South schedule every year.
Of course, Eric, Parkersburg South, you got to see a lot of them this season. This 11-game streak stretching all the way back since the loss to Tays Valley Christian. This team has strung off a lot of big wins. It's only going to get tougher, especially when you include the fact that they're in the OVAC as well, and that tournament will be coming up soon.
Yeah, and for Parkersburg South, they've already faced a really good university team that's likely to be in those OVAC playoffs, and it wouldn't shock me to see them match up with University again. I mean, first things first, they're going to have to get to the semis, but, you're number one in the state, number one in the OVAC. You control your destiny in the OVAC. They'll host, if a season, or if that were to end today, they would host in that first round. So hopefully you get the win there and you move on to play in that title game on Saturday. But it's one of a number of goals this team has. While they would like to win that OVAC, I know the big goal is in Charleston at the end of the season. And, to go back to Plants the way he's played this year, he started out big. 34 points was a career high for him earlier this season. I know that he's not committed to any college next year, and I got to tell you, if any college in West Virginia, any representative of any college is listening, and you're going to get a kid who's got heart that you wouldn't believe. He's humble. He does the little things. He works hard. He's well-spoken. He's smart. He defends. He scores in a number of ways. He can get to the basket. He can shoot the three, and he's unselfish. And I think that wherever he would go, he would be the steal of just about any class. So, coaches, if you're listening, this is a guy you need to be finding some film on. Go talk to some people and get a look at this kid.
Parkersburg South boys now 13-1 on the season, and 14-1, I should say. Now, and looking forward 13-1. I'll get it right in a moment. But nonetheless, Parkersburg South will host Logan, Ohio, coming up tomorrow, and then next week game with Hurricane at West Virginia State University, and then a game at Ripley. So a couple of road games and a home game tomorrow for the Patriots as they look to continue this outstanding run, Eric. And I know it's a lot of fun to follow that ball club right now.
Yeah, the Chieftains are 15-1. That's the opponent tomorrow, Logan, Ohio Chieftain. And so that's not going to be an easy one. But like you said, 3 road games next week because South has Hurricane in the little general shootout at the medium-sized house. Since the Civic Center is not available, but West Virginia State's building is beautiful, and we'll be glad to be back working out of there on Wednesday, and then Friday, it's Ripley, so there's a regional, a sectional opponent back-to-back, and then Saturday is a makeup game. A week from Saturday is a makeup game with these same Wheeling Park Patriots, but South's going to have to make the trip to the Palace on the Hill. So things don't get easier for this Patriots ball club. As fun as this is to watch, they've been trying to climb this mountain all year long, and I'm just the one who's lucky enough to have a seat at the table. I'll pull out my Fiesta wear and sit there and enjoy watching good basketball all night long. That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke, and you're going to have to ask Craig Dutton about that if you get a moment.
Yeah, we'll ask Craig about that in a moment. Yeah, he was waiting on something too.
He's been over here rolling in the floor laughing.
Yeah,
so.
we just about lost him there. But nonetheless, Eric Miller, WVVV in Parkersburg, always a pleasure.
Thank you. Keep up the good work, and please return Craig back to us safely.
Yeah, we will ship him back with a return to sender notice. A little bit after midnight tonight.
I don't know if Scott will accept it though.
Package refused.
Yeah. Return to sender.
Oh, we just have a good time here. But let's go back to the phones. And again, I want to say we'll talk to our standout athlete of the week in our next segment, Ashton Maxwell of Buchanan Upshur. We'll also talk with Tayton Stout of Braxton County. What he did was spectacular earlier this week. We'll talk with him in a moment. Right now, though, let's go to Rick Leach, head coach of the Tyler Consolidated Silver Knights boys basketball team. And Coach Leach, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you for having me.
I'll turn you over to Craig here in just a moment, but first I do want to ask you about tonight's game. Tough loss at a very good Ravenswood team, but you go up to the pit and you put up a fight tonight.
We were in the game in the fourth quarter, down 6, and with under 3 minutes to go in the game, and we had to start fouling. And guess what? They don't miss foul shots. I think they were 12. They were 12 for 14 at the foul line in the fourth quarter. So they only had 1 2-point basket in the fourth quarter. The rest of their points were on the foul line. So we were there. I mean, we fought. And we got behind a little bit in the third quarter and just fought back and cut it to 6 in the fourth, and had to get in the situation where we had to foul.
And Coach Leach, this is Craig here. Of course, a big difference from what was earlier this season when you hosted Ravenswood. So that's one thing I've been seeing all season long, is that the Knights is different from the last decade, is that we're seeing confidence, from this Silver Knights team, something that hasn't had in a while. You swept the Magnolia Blue Eagles first time in 10 years this season for the program. And this is your second run as coach for Tyler Consolidated. So there's a lot of good things. Of course, this is a rebuilding year overall for that section, but this is just the perfect timing for Tyler Consolidated.
Yeah, and again, going back to the Ravenswood, the pit's such a great place to play basketball, and I talked to the team about matching their intensity, and I thought we did that tonight, matching their intensity, and I told them after the game, if we play with that intensity, we have a shot. We can move on in our section and in our region and have a chance to make it to the state tournament.
Of course, one other guy that really sticks out is your junior, Griffin Phillips. I can't count how many times he put the pressure defensively. I lost count how many steals he had versus St. Mary's the other night, but all season long, he's been an important part. He's been putting up a lot of points. He had about 20-some, 30-some points, you said, those last few games. And, of course, defensively is where he becomes more of a factor for your Silver Knights.
Well, he is our leading scorer, and he had 24 tonight. He led us in scoring with 24, and with Mark Rucker with 16. So he's our go-to guy, and he gets a lot of points off his steals. His great defense. He is so quick in his first step of anticipation. He gets a lot of easy steals and is able to convert those to easy points.
Head coach Rick Leach of the Tyler Consolidated Silver Knights. They fall tonight by 12 at Ravenswood, but turn around next week, have a home game with Parkersburg Catholic. And Coach Leach, we certainly appreciate you taking time out to talk with us tonight. Wish you and your ball club the best of luck next week.
Thank you, Ryan.
All right, that's Rick Leach, head coach of the Tyler Consolidated Silver Knights. We've got to step aside, take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with our standout athlete of the week, Ashton Maxwell of Buchanan Upshur. We will also talk with Tayton Stout of Braxton County High School. Again, the most impressive stat line I think I've ever heard. When Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's no better place to be than right here. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Join us online, vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight. This week's question, should dunking be allowed during all of pregame? Tell us what you think. Vote yes or no. Go to basketballnight.com to vote in this week's poll. You'll see the poll's questions on the right-hand side of the page. You've got till 11:45 tonight. And, of course, we'll share the results with you at the end of the show this evening. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia scoreboard. Watch our live high-definition video stream by going to basketballnight.com. Takes just one click to watch. And there's many, many ways you can watch and listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Of course, go to basketballnight.com, our affiliates page on the bottom. Find the station nearest you. You can watch our high-definition video on YouTube. Go to basketballnight.com, click to watch. We're also on Facebook Live. Go to RSN Sports Facebook page. You can watch us on Facebook Live. If you're on Twitter, follow us at @hoops_roundup. At @hoops_roundup. We're on Periscope. You can watch that way. If you're a cable subscriber and you've got Network West Virginia somewhere, you can watch us statewide. In the Huntington area, we're on Comcast, Channel 25. All the pictures you're watching right now, if you're watching our stream, came from you. Send them to us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Go to our website to find out how to connect with Basketball Friday Nights.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
10:47 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It's Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2018. Episode 9 of Season 5 of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Episode 60, I've already lost count.
And almost 2/3 of the show down the tube.
Right, we're heading quickly toward the third hour of the program, but before we get there, it's time now for our standout athlete of the week. She is a senior at Buchanan Upshur, and she is a big part of the Lady Buccaneers' outstanding run thus far. A team that has just one loss on the season, a team that is ranked number 1 in Class AAA in girls basketball, a team that a year ago was the AAA runner-up, and a team that, quite frankly, as we talked about earlier, the expectations may almost be unfair for this group because they are so high. Ashton Maxwell is our standout athlete of the week. She joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. And first off, Ashton, congratulations on being our standout athlete of the week. And
Thank you.
your ball club. We'll talk about your basketball club in a moment. But I want to talk about you specifically here. You decided against playing volleyball your senior year and chose to play soccer. As part of trying to be healthy as well. And unfortunately, you still suffered an injury, but you've been able to play through it. Tell me about the moment that you knew you were hurt, and then the moment that you realized you were still going to be able to get out on the floor for your senior year of basketball.
Well, I played soccer to try to keep myself from injuring myself worse so that I would be able to help this basketball team. But the moment that I hurt myself in that game, the first thing I kept saying was, I'm out of basketball. And I just kept saying it over and over again. And I really, truly believed that. But then in my head, I kept telling myself, you're not done. And God's given me the ability to continue playing through this major injury. And many people have asked questions about it. And all I can tell them is God. That's the only answer that I really, truly have.
And part of the bio that we put together on you, the second thing listed, strong Christian faith involved in her church. Tell me what you were able to do, outside of school and be able to be active within your church.
Me and my sisters, we sing in our church and for the community, and we do lots of, we're actually doing a play right now for our church, a really big production. And I think that having faith and really believing, that's really what gets me through. Having this injury has been it's been very hard mentally to handle, but God has seriously gotten me through it.
And this is a ball club that we talked about the expectations. Last year, runner-up. So many integral pieces of that ball club back this year that, I think from the outside looking in, this has been a year it's been pointed to for some time now from that community. You guys are handling that pressure very well, 18-1 on the season. But what's that like now to kind of know that, this is it. This is the year that is supposed to be your year, and that a lot of good teams that are also out there that you haven't seen yet, but at the same time, people think enough of you to have you as the favorite at this point.
I think that's one of the reasons everyone believing in us and truly thinking that we have a chance this year to make our dream come true. I think the community really backs us up on it, and I think me being a senior, and I know for the other 3 seniors, that it really it means a lot to us. And when we know that it's our last year and that we only have a few games left, we know that it comes down to heart and whoever wants it more. And me and my team have been working very hard this season, and we're believing and we keep our faith. And we're really excited to see what comes next.
Ashton, it's Joe Linville. I really like your quote. Anything less than a state tournament will be a disappointment. Your thoughts?
Well, we've worked really, really hard over the past couple of years. And my freshman year, we made it to states. It was just an accomplishment to even get there. I don't know that really many people were expecting it. But every year since that, we've always done better. Our expectations have always been higher. And last year we got a state runner-up, and I know that we're still expecting higher expectations. We never slack off, and we're always working harder than we were before.
Ashton Maxwell, our standout athlete of the week from Buchanan Upshur High School. Thanks so much for joining us, and we wish you and the Lady Bucks all the best moving forward, and we know you have a game tomorrow as your senior year starts to wind down. Ashton, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's Ashton Maxwell from Buchanan Upshur High School. And guys, before we go to our next caller, you hear what she has to say there, and I thought that it sounded like someone who kind of understands the gravity of the situation. Coming off of an injury, at that age, you only get 4 years to play high school basketball. And unfortunately, she's had to deal with some injuries and play through them. But her attitude toward it is standout worthy.
Those injuries will begin to numb once postseason comes and you start to see where you have faith in your teammates. That's what she said. She has a lot of faith in God and her family, and her teammates as her family. I really feel that Buchanan Upshur, seeing the highlights I've seen over the last couple of years, they have a dynasty going for them, and she's got a very good support system.
Hungry. They are hungry. They want to bring that trophy home from Charleston. And that gives people a lot of get up and go, the extra, going that 110%, as the old saying goes.
And I'll say this before we go to our next caller, too. You want to talk about, we're from the outside looking in at this Buchanan Upshur community. We'll take our call after the break with Tate and Stout, and we'll also have Jeremy Dillon both after the break. But we're able to, we talk with Dylan Goday just about every week, keeping us updated on Buchanan Upshur. We talked with Hannah McClung last week. We've talked to her before, but none of us can seem to remember exactly when that was, if it was 2 years ago or last year. It all blends together for us, unfortunately. But and then speaking to Ashton there, and Joe, I almost get the idea that even just through a telephone call, it feels like you're talking to members of the same family.
I know. It's like you know her. I mean, we obviously got to watch her play in Charleston last year, and some of the highlights, in social media and so forth. But it's just good to talk to these, student athletes, and I keep emphasizing that because sometimes, when they make mistakes, we want to throw them under the bus, but really we should be lifting them up and encouraging them because, of their age and where they're at in their life.
And when you're in that, 17, well, basically 14 to 18 range, which is what you get with most high schoolers, and we'll remember those days, Craig. It's not necessarily the mistakes you make; it's how you react to the mistakes you make or the situations put in front of you. And it can be difficult. Sometimes you have to grow up a little bit fast in certain instances. And our standout athletes of the week over the course of the years all have in common that they tend to be pretty well level-headed and quote unquote get it.
They have to have that ability to just play through and just continue to trust their teammates. As I mentioned earlier, to have that ability and stay focused on their work, their schoolwork. You don't realize how much pressure is on these young athletes having to go out on the floor each evening, all that pressure on them, and yet think they may have to go home and do maybe 2 hours worth of homework or more the next day. That's a lot of pressure. And that's why you see that a lot from these standout athletes who go beyond the call of duty when it comes to their teams.
And for fans, sports writers, broadcasters, et cetera, we go to games and you see such a small portion of those players' lives kind of play out in front of you on the court or on the field of play. But think about your own life too, how small a piece that is of your life, and it's the same thing. Sometimes we tend to overemphasize what we see on a basketball court on a given night or a football field. If someone doesn't play well, what's wrong with them? Well, there's a whole lot. That's like I said, that's such a small window into what people are going through, and certainly you have to get perspective of that. Sometimes you have to be a little bit older to do that. It's hard to have that perspective when you're not old enough to have gone through life experiences. But we'll talk much more about that. I don't know how we got to that point. But Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues with Tate and Stout and Jeremy Dillon after the break on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including 103.7 Jack FM, WQWV in Fisher, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM, WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM, WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio 92.5 FM, WTHM LP, Ravenswood, Ripley. Knights Radio, 91.5 FM, WRSG in Middleburn. Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg, 740 AM, 106.5 FM. Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside, 106.7 FM. 95 The Sports Fox, WBES Charleston, 950 AM. The Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW Logan. Light Rock 93R, WRRR St. Mary's, 93.9 FM. The Ticket, 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton. The Greatest Oldies of All Time, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZ LP, Edmond, Beckley. Tune for You, Yap Radio, 101.7 FM, WYAP LP in Clay. And Marshall University's flagship station, The Cutting Edge, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers, if you have Suddenlink, you can find us on Network West Virginia statewide. We're also in the Huntington region on Comcast, Channel 25. And we're on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Periscope.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. To join tonight's program, call 855-78-HOOPS. That's 855-784-6677. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup for all the scores all the time. And visit basketballnight.com for a comprehensive look at schedules and standings for every team in the state. Stay tuned. Another hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia begins right now.
It is 11 o'clock, third and final hour of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling alongside of Joe Linville, Craig Dutton of WRRR, all with us here tonight. And we'll get a scoreboard in a moment. Go to @hoops_roundup on Twitter. Yep, got another WRRR reference in there. Yep, the tally continues. But nonetheless, you can go to hoops_roundup on Twitter for the scores. Go to basketballnight.com. We'll get you a full scoreboard in a moment. But we've held this young man on hold for a while now just because of that. And I wanted to hold him through the break there because I was afraid we were going to run out of time. But he had one of the most impressive stat lines I have ever seen. Earlier this week, Braxton County defeated Doddridge County 82-57. That was a road game for the Eagles. And in that game, Tayton Stout broke the school scoring record with 50 points in that game on 25 made 2-point field goals. Wow. Tayton Stout joins us now on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. First off, thanks for holding on. And second of all, how did you not get fouled in this game?
I really don't know, but for the most part, they were mostly layups. I had 3 jump shots the whole game, but no foul shots or threes. So it was really fun doing it, no doubt.
So, okay, help me out here. 25 made 2-point field goals. I saw that. I was like, well, are we talking about a post player around the basket? Or are we talking about somebody who gets a lot of runouts? Or did you miss any threes? Did you get to the free throw line and miss? I mean, what happened in this ball game?
We ran a 1-3-1 for the most part, and I'd get a lot of steals, and I'd take it myself. And then I had a lot of offensive rebounds. I shot 1 3 and missed it. But no, I didn't shoot any foul shots at all the whole game.
Hey, Tayton.
It's kind of crazy.
Hey, Tayton, this is Joe Linville. Have you ever heard of a fellow by the name of Danny Heater?
Yes, sir. He had 135 points.
Yeah, what my question is, what is in the water in Braxton County? Because actually Flatwoods is just a rock throw from where Braxton County High School now stands. But have you had other high-scoring games anywhere close to this?
I had a 49-point game last year that also broke the school record of 45. That was held by Mark Wright in like 89, I think. And I ended up breaking it last year with 49. And I broke it again this year with 50, so that was really cool.
50 is a nice round number. 49 is a tough one to hang on. Were you kind of beating yourself up a little bit after that one?
Well, we thought originally it was 48 until after the game we looked and it was 45. So I would have just scored 46 that game until we realized Yeah, it was confusing, but it worked out.
You mentioned the 1-3-1 zone there, Tayton. Obviously, you have to think if you're getting a lot of those opportunities to just drive the ball back off turnovers, how many steals have you had on the season? Are you close to breaking any defensive records?
Last year, I broke the career steal records, and for every steal I get now, I'm continuing to break it.
Gravy.
I don't know where I'm at. And then last year, I also broke the single game with 10 steals, and now I broke it again with 11. And then I broke the season steals last year record also.
Well, I guess it's not the record book; it's the Tayton Stout book at this point. But yeah, it's very impressive, and obviously it takes an entire team to be able to get these accomplishments as well.
Of course it does.
Your ball club having a very good season as well, and unfortunately postponed today. I know weather was an issue in Webster County; couldn't make that trip today, but. Looking ahead at the schedule, Calhoun County, and another game with Doddridge County next week. I don't want to put any pressure on you, but going back up against a team you just scored 50 against, obviously they're going to try to take some effort to keep that from happening again.
Well, I'm sure they will, but it probably won't happen again. It probably won't happen again the rest of the season. It was just one of those things. The ball just ended up in my hands when I was under the basket, and rebound somehow just fell off the rim to me. It was really cool though. I felt I was pretty blessed with it.
Braxton County 13-3 on the season. Tayton Stout, congratulations on again perhaps the most impressive stat line I've ever seen, and we appreciate him joining us and hanging in there with us tonight on the program, guys. 25 made 2-point field goals, and wow. I mean that's just still that cracks me up. I didn't ask him this, and I wish I would have. Now, in retrospect, is he glad he missed that three? Because if you score 53 and you've got a made three, that still doesn't quite as reverberate as the 25 made field goals and 50 points.
But now it's a challenge when they host Doddridge County.
Right, yeah.
To break its own record again.
And it's definitely not in the water because my mom was from Braxton County. It sure didn't get down the pike at all. So.
Danny Heater from Burnsville, we had him on the program last year. I know that for a fact. It was last year, and we certainly appreciate talking to him because remember when it was LeAngelo ball, the youngest Ball brother scored 90-some points in a game for Chino Hills, and now he's playing quote unquote professionally in Lithuania. But whatever. But point being that he still came up almost 40 points shy of a West Virginia boys. National record, yes, and that was spectacular. Let's go back to the phones. Jeremy Dillon is a Marshall University basketball commit, signee actually, and from Mingo Central, and he actually won the Kennedy Award in football last year. But basketball is probably the better of the two sports. He joins us now on the program. And Jeremy, first off, congratulations on the big win tonight on Minor Mountain against Wayne.
I appreciate you guys having me on here.
Tell me a little bit about getting through the recruiting process. You chose Marshall a couple of years ago as a verbal commit, stuck with it, and then signed in the early signing period this year. I've got to imagine that at least that's been a way for you to relax and enjoy just going out and playing your senior year.
Yeah, it has been. I've wanted to go to Marshall since probably my freshman year, and when they offered, I was really excited about that. Then when the signing period came, I already knew what I wanted to do, so that just made it a simple decision.
Hey, Jeremy, this is Joe Linville. First of all, congratulations on signing with Marshall, which I do have to ask you this. I've kind of got a twofold question. Which is your favorite sport, basketball or football?
I've been asked that many times, but in high school, I'd probably have to say whatever season it is, honestly. But right now, it's basketball right now for sure.
And I would like for you to squelch a rumor. There was a lot of rumors floating about earlier. You were thinking about turning down the Marshall offer and going to play football. Was that true, or was that just some rumors floating around?
Back in the summer, I kind of weighed my options again, but by the end of the summer, I came to a conclusion that I just still wanted to go to Marshall.
Your
play
team,
basketball.
Your team, the basketball team there under Kevin Hatfield, rolling right along. You had a big win tonight. Also earlier in the week over at Madison against the Skyhawks, where you dropped in 25 points. After going to that state tournament in Charleston last year, how tough, how mindset is the Miners on getting back to Charleston again for another opportunity?
Oh, that's our number one goal, is to make it and you have a chance to win it up there, because anything can happen. But lately our chemistry has been getting a lot better. We had early in the season we had a player quit and one tore his ACL. Those are two big men, and we've had some guys pick it up like Jay Reed and Garrett Brown. They've been shooting the ball well.
Yeah, I know Warden come off the bench there in the Hatfield-McCoy tournament. I told Coach Hatfield the other night, if all your players would step up and play their top game, you would have an awesome team. I know you're pretty much the team leader, and then Drew Hatfield there right behind you, and then you've got several players that has made contributions this season for the team.
Oh, yeah, we've had different players step up at each different time, like Chase over there at the Sheldon Clark game, stepping up and hitting those threes because he had to step out, get their big man out of the paint. And Drew, he's been doing a lot better lately. He had, I think, like a 30-point game a couple of games ago, and he's been dishing the ball well to us.
Jeremy, I know that you were a little bit banged up right at the end of the football season. Another spectacular season, I want to say as well, making it to the state semifinals. And maybe it took a little bit of time for basketball. How are you from a health standpoint of being healed up, being closer to being 100%?
I'd say right now I'm about 100%. I'd say about 3 or 4 games ago I got back to normal, because in that Fairmont Senior game I sprained my LCL, and it just took a little bit to heal up, but now I'm good.
I understand last week you had a little, maybe the week before you had a little bit of the flu bug, but talking about the Miners basketball team, big game tomorrow night in Chapmanville as you take on the Tigers, who only have one loss. That was a big game in the sectionals last year, and I'm sure you guys got revenge on your mind.
Oh, yeah, we for sure do. We know it's going to be a wild game tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of different schools coming to watch. It'll be packed out, because last year was a wild one, so we're ready to go up there and win it.
And Jeremy, you're in a basketball tradition-rich area. Now, not necessarily the 4 schools that went into Mingo Central right at the very end of their existence, but for the duration, Williamson, Birch, Mate One had some excellent teams as well, and Gilbert had some really good teams back when Josh Birchfield was there also. So, you've got a lot of those schools right around you. There's so much love for this game in that area. Logan, very good. Chapmanville, obviously, very good. Tug Valley, who's a rival, very good as well. It seems like night in, night out, you have a big game in terms of your opponent is going to be competitive. I've got to feel like that's a lot of fun to just play in that area right now.
Oh, yeah, it's a very rich basketball community. I mean, we have all kinds of people come out to the games, like especially the Tug Valley and the Mingo Central game. It's packed out. You can't hardly get a seat. But, yeah, like you said, they've been a lot of good teams and good players come through here, like Mark Klein, going to be my future coach. He was one of the best to come out of here.
Jeremy, one other thing there, I know you get a lot of rebounds, and I'm not sure your stats there, but your arm, your reach, your width, that plays havoc on a lot of the ball teams that you play this season.
Yeah, I think I measured my wingspan once, and it was about 6'6", so that comes in handy a lot.
Jeremy Dillon of Mingo Central, Marshall basketball signee. Thank you so much for joining us on the program, and just as someone who has been able to watch you play both basketball and football the last couple of years, it's been a pleasure to get to see you play, because you're one of the very best to come out of that area in a long time.
I really appreciate that. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, that's Jeremy Dillon of the Mingo Central Miners. We're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll get you that scoreboard update as basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
If you love basketball, then there's only one place to be on Friday nights after the game. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The Marshall University Sports Journalism degree is designed for you to find a job to put your knowledge and training to work after graduation. The program allows for students to concentrate in one of 3 exciting areas: print, public relations, or broadcasting. Our curriculum features skill-based courses and prioritizes hands-on real-life experiences that not only expose the students' work to the public, but also to sports journalism professionals who are often willing to provide crucial feedback and career-launching advice. Marshall University has 15 varsity teams that afford sports journalism majors the opportunities to cover them in any media format, including text, online, photo, radio, or video. Hands-on experience comes through Marshall's student-powered media, the Parthenon, WMUL Radio, and Herd TV, as well as communications campaigns, off-campus internships, and an expansive alumni network in all areas of expertise. The Marshall University School of Journalism is ready and eager to help you start your sports media career. Learn more about the exciting possibilities by visiting marshall.edu/SOJMC. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Don't forget our poll question tonight: should dunking be allowed during all of pregame? Go to basketballnight.com. On the right-hand side of the page is the poll question, and tell us tonight, yes or no.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
11:15 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Now turning over to 11:16, Ryan Epling alongside Joe Linville and WRRR's Craig Dutton.
I'm going to take my shoes off.
How many R's can be spelled out?
My goal was 15 by the end of the night. I'm on pace. But nonetheless, we'll go back to the phone lines in just a moment to our resident referee. But first, it's time for another check of the Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard. High school boys basketball action tonight. Big Atlantic Classic, Parkersburg defeats Princeton 64-51. It was University defeating Hedgesville 65-52. Also tonight, Cameron goes to Shadyside, Ohio, and the Dragons get a big road win, 46-44 the final in that one. Frankfort beats Mountain Ridge, Maryland, 65-52. The Falcons are 10-4. Hannibal River, Ohio blows out Magnolia tonight, 75-32. Pilots get the win at home. Also, it was Pendleton County defeating Moorfield 56-48. Steubenville Catholic Central, Ohio 54. Oak Glen 45. Wheeling Central goes to 15-1 as the Maroon Knights knock off the Crusaders of Parkersburg Catholic in a high-scoring affair tonight. 96-80, the final in that one. Woodrow Wilson in the Big Atlantic Classic rolls past Hampshire, final score of 89-41. Anna's Army game in the fight against Friedrich's Ataxia tonight at Parkersburg South High School, and the host Patriots defeat the visiting Patriots of Wheeling Park, final of 77-60. Parkersburg South now 13-1. Wheeling Park falls to 9-3. Berkeley Springs goes to 10-5 with a 71-50 home win over the Golden Tornado of Kaiser. Great game tonight in Weirton, where Brook defeats the homestanding Weir Red Riders 57-56 the final in that one. Another really close ball game tonight saw Gilmer County pick up its first win of the year. The Titans go on the road and beat Calhoun County tonight 63-57. It was Notre Dame 81, Charleston Catholic 76. Clay County defeats Roane County 58-46.
Hannon at home tonight with a 77-34 win over Covenant Christian. Of course, they fell earlier this week to Calvary Baptist, a team that's going to be favored in that West Virginia Christian athletic tournament coming up in a couple weeks. Sissonville with a 70-54 win over Herbert Hoover this evening. Gives Sissonville their 9th win of the season. Huntington travels on the road, gets a big win at South Charleston, 89-52. Musselman Appleman at home with a 68-61 win over Jefferson. Nitro over Lincoln County, 95-57. The Logan Wildcats defeats the Scott Skyhawks 74-38 to give Logan their 11th win of the season. Mingo Central Miles, Jeremy Dillon just on the break before with a big win tonight, 86-52 as they defeat the Wayne Pioneers. Wheeling, we already mentioned that one earlier. Winfield, a 77-46 win over the Polka Dots this evening, give Winfield their 11th win of the season. Ravenswood holds off Tyler Consolidated in a 12-point victory by a final score of 75-63. Spring Mills on the road at Washington. Final in double overtime. Spring Mills gets the win, 63-61. Southern Garrett, Maryland defeats Tucker County 57-49. A 62-52 win for South Gallia over Wahama. Work County falls on the road at Williamstown 61-39. Pocahontas County, they'll get back on track of their high-scoring efforts again with a 82-61 win over East Hardy to improve Pocahontas County to 15-2 on the season. Van Bulldogs wins over Greenbrier West 69-51. And an 83-52 win for the Martinsburg Bulldogs over Greenbrier East.
On the girls' side of the scoreboard, of 22 games on tap for the night, 7 have either been canceled or postponed. But here's what we have. A win for the Parkersburg Big Reds tonight in the consolation game of the Big Atlantic Girls Classic. A win over St. Albans, 63-55. It was Valley Wetzel, the Lumberjacks, over 100, 67-10. Hannon Wildcats pick up a win tonight, 43-42 in a tight one over Covenant Christian. It was Petersburg, the Vikings, over the Indians of Berkeley Springs, 52-36. It was the Riverside Warriors picking up a win over the Capital Cougars tonight, 53-30. Parkersburg Catholic over Trinity, 68-55. Spring Valley winners tonight over the Lady Knights of Cabell Midland, 53-42. Hampshire over Bishop Walsh, Maryland, 57-26. It was the Lady Redskins of Hurricane over the Huntington Highlanders tonight, 42-34. And the Hurricane Redskins, actually, that score's in there twice and it's reversed, so we need to check on that one. And that's a look at your Marshall University Sports Journalism BasketballNight.com scoreboard.
Thank you very much, guys, and we will get that straightened out. Also, do want to mention that tonight in women's college basketball, and I'll explain why here in a moment, Marshall fell at Charlotte 67-61, despite Logan High School grad Shayna Gore scoring a career-high 32 points, making 12 field goals and a new school record 8 3-pointers in that loss today for Marshall at Halton Arena. But still, outstanding performance for a West Virginia native, and also Taliqua Hamilton, a Huntington grad, had 22 points and 8 rebounds in that loss. So, local girls playing well, even though for right now it's been a bit of a difficult season for the Thundering Herd women. So, I just thought that was noteworthy, though.
Absolutely.
32 points.
We like it when our high school student athletes do well at the college level, especially Division I.
Absolutely. And let's move on now to our resident referee, Bo Anderson, who has only been on hold tonight, the Bo counter, 7 minutes.
That can't be right.
We called in a little bit later, didn't he?
That's exactly what happened. And here we go as Bo Anderson joins us on the program. Bo, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Hey, I pulled a little trick on you guys tonight. I called in late, so my maximum time we figured out was 45 minutes. So really, this is a record.
Yep, and you see, Bo's smartening up on us now. He just waited a little bit longer to call out.
I was wondering how many more technical fouls you were going to call on this before you had to ask Ryan and Joe to sit down.
Hey, it wasn't going to take long. If I'd had to wait the whole 45 minutes, they'd have both been ejected.
Hey, Bo, I got some white vinyl fence for sale. Interested?
Oh, no, I tell you what, you don't even want to get me started.
I knew that would hit a nerve.
You guys, I guess, have seen that I'm not only known as a referee, but also known to be part of vandalism. But, Joe, I wasn't the only one. There were 6 others.
I'm glad, because I would have been afraid that some mad mother or father, at a basketball game didn't like the way you called it or something. So I'm glad some of your neighbors got hit as well. So anyway, let's talk about basketball.
Wait a minute. Joe's glad there were more victims of this vandalism.
I'm glad that Bo wasn't the only one. I would have been afraid somebody was retaliating from a basketball.
You're just glad that Bo wasn't clearly the singular
Victim.
target.
That's exactly
Gotcha.
right.
Unless all of his neighbors were officials, too.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit of basketball. What about double fouls? I saw one this week. One official called charging. The other official called a defensive foul. They met at half court, decided that both players were in the wrong, charged each of them with the foul, and the team with the ball, or that committed the charge, actually got the ball out of bounds at midcourt.
Yeah, well, what you have anytime you have a double foul, Joe, you have point of interruption. So if it's a block charge and one official calls a block and the other one calls a player control foul, and then they get together and figure out that, hey, both of them happened, then you would go with the point of interruption, which would be whoever had the basketball. Another scene that usually you see is a couple guys in a post that are deciding they want to be the part of the show that's you don't need. They're jockeying around down there, and you call a double foul on them, and let's say that Team A's dribbling the ball at half court, and the 2 fouls occur at the block, then the point of interruption would be Team A's ball at wherever they were dribbling the ball at half court.
Another thing I saw then, and there was no fouls called, but they could give out a couple of Academy Awards. Defender players in the lane trying to make the block, and they may just be grazed or even missed, but they'll fall down like they were knocked through the wall. See that very often?
Well, that happens some, and they're either A, afraid to stand in there and take the hit, or B, they want to try to see if they can trick us a little bit. Now, there's a rule. I mean, this rule has got to be used under major discretion, but there is a rule in the rule book where faking being fouled is a technical. And I've never had to use that before. Many years ago when I got started, I had a player who, was on the ground, and then I looked around, he's on the ground again. And what he was trying to do is he was trying to see if my eyes were going to go ahead and call a foul on the player that was beside him for knocking him down. And so I told that player, I said, the next time you're on the ground, I better have seen what happened, because if I didn't, it's going to be on you. And that's the last time he ended up laying down.
So it's not the Oscar, it's a technical foul.
There you go. Never heard that before.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct. Faking being fouled is a technical foul by rule.
Wow.
All right, but something I saw earlier this week, and it ended up being changed before it was made official, but I saw an initial call of a charge and count the basket. Tell me when that exactly would be a possibility.
It cannot be a possibility as far as the airborne shooter player control. Anytime the player with the ball holding or dribbling, or the airborne shooter, which has went up, shot the layup, they're still in the act of shooting, and they're still considered in player control, being an airborne shooter until they hit the ground. So therefore, even if they could make a running shot at the foul line and bank it and still be in the air, and the ball go in and halfway through the lane crash over somebody before they hit the ground, that's still a player control foul, and therefore there is never a possibility for that scenario for that basket to count. It automatically will not count. The only time you can have that is the player would have to hit the floor and then run over the defender in order for the basket to count and you to have then consider really a defensive foul.
And I do want to say that when that call was initially made, another official discussed it, and they changed it to a block and count the basket. So that was in terms of the administration of the rule. Yeah. That's one way to do it. And again, I understand that. I'm not getting into the judgment of the call, just the matter of the process of the call.
Right, yeah. And if it's blocking, then that airborne shooter is in the act of shooting until they return to the floor, and therefore, you got something in the road here, Lou, I think. I'm sorry. We're driving here in a situation.
Tell Lou Peak to keep his eyes on the road.
This sounds like NASCAR in Carter.
We gotta get off the road here because it's an unusual situation. I think you've had a wreck here or something. Anyway, so what would happen would be, now here's another scenario that you've got here that I wanted to talk about tonight, is you have a situation where the shooter goes up and attempts, let's say, a three-point shot, and the ball is still in the shooter's hand, and let's say Team A shooting, and Team B pushes a Team A player to try to get defensive rebounding. The ball doesn't have to be released. If you have the foul, the shooter can finish the shot. Therefore, when the ball goes in, you score a three. You call the foul on Team B for pushing Team A, and Team A will also either get the basketball or they will shoot 1 and 1 or 2 shots, depending on whether it's a 7th or 10th team foul. And then the other scenario that I want to discuss is the way that it would work opposite is if Team A is shooting the basketball and the ball's in the hand and Team A pushes before the ball's released. That's when you have to know when the release is, because if it's still in the hand and Team A's teammate fouls, then you can't have the basket unless the ball's released.
One final question, Bo, and this is obviously with the NBA and college, and we've talked about this before, there are different rules, but both have put the circle in the semicircle or half circle basically around the basket, where you have to be outside of that to draw a charge. That is not the case in high school basketball. But is there a point where you as an official, do you call it the exact same way even if the person is directly underneath the basket when they are hit defensively, if they're still in a legal guarding position, as that being an offensive foul?
Absolutely. Every player's entitled to the spot on the floor as long as they got there first and legally. And absolutely, we don't have that underneath the basket rule that college and NBA has. Therefore, if a player crashes over a player, we still have a player control foul if that defender was there before they left the floor and got there legally. We do not have that arc, or we do not have the secondary defender touching the arc. We have no such rule. If that player that's defending is there before the offensive player leaves the floor, they're entitled to that spot. And therefore, when the offense runs over them, you still have a player control foul and no basket. And a lot of people don't understand, well, they were too far under the basket. We don't have that rule in high school basketball. And, it's up to the player that's shooting the basketball to be in control when they do it. And therefore, the defense is allowed to be there, and there's no reason for us to call blocking on that player. It's still a player control foul situation.
Our resident referee, Bo Anderson, we always appreciate it. We hope you and the guys have a safe trip home, and certainly hope that your fence is upright and the way it should be.
Yeah, well, hey, buddy, we're trying. It's one of those things where we just have to, go with the flow, and never know what we're going to run into out here on the road. And it's one of those things where, night in, night out. Fortunately, all the water dried out, and it turned into being a dry situation tonight, but there was a wreck. That's why I was talking on the radio. There was a wreck, and matter of fact, we're pulling over and telling the sheriff right now that there's a wreck on up the road here. So that way they'll be aware, because there was some glass and a little bit of everything. I don't think anybody was hurt, but we never know what we're going to run into. That's part of basketball officiating.
Right. That's our resident referee, Bo Anderson, and traffic reporter for the night. Bo, thanks so much for joining us. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will have the very latest BasketballNight.com power ratings. And we're almost done, guys. We've only got 2 more segments to go. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them in West Virginia, visit basketballnight.com. Congratulations tonight to Ashlyn Maxwell, Buckhannon Upshur, Lady Bucks. Ashton was selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as this week's Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You could nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Once again, congratulations to Ashton Maxwell, Buckhannon Upshur Lady Bucks, as our Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab, fill out the nomination form. We'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. You got a few minutes left. You got 10 minutes left to vote in this week's poll. Should dunking be allowed during all pregame? Tell us what you think, yes or no. We'll let you know the results tonight around 11:45. Check out all those pictures. We want you to send us your game pictures, team pictures, fan pictures, even pictures of your coaches. Send it to us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. You can send them to us on Facebook and Instagram. Go to RSN Sports Network, RSN Sports Network. That's how you can send them to us on Facebook and Instagram. You can email them to us, scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Give us your best picks of your team and your fans.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
11:36 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling and Joe Linville with you here. Craig Dutton of WRRR also in studio tonight as well. Marcus Constantino joins us now. Marcus, it is time for the very latest, hot off the presses, BasketballNight.com power ratings.
That's right. Done just 15 minutes ago. The latest BasketballNight.com power ratings. A few movements around in the top 5. We have one new number 1. We'll tell you about that in a minute. Here's the girls AAA BasketballNight.com power ratings. Buckhannon Upshur 18-1. The Lady Buccaneers are at number 1. Greenbrier East is 15-1. They move up 1 spot to number 2 as Parkersburg the Lady Big Reds drop 1. They're 12-4. They're at number 3. Parkersburg South is 14-3 at number 4, and GW, is 10-5 at number 5. On to girls AA. North Marion is 17-1, holding in at number 1. Wyoming East is 12-2 at number 2. The Wayne Pioneers are 17-1, hanging in at number 3. Sissonville moves up 1 spot. The Indians are 13-2 at number 4, and the Fairmont Senior Lady Polar Bears are 14-4. They move down 1 into number 5. Now in girls single A, the St. Joe Lady Irish are the new number 1 at 9-5. Tucker County Mountain Lions 15-1 move down into number 2. Parkersburg Catholic is 17-0 at number 3. Wheeling Central Catholic jumping up 1 spot. They're 16-2 at number 4. And the Cameron Lady Dragons move down 1 spot. They're 17-1, moving down to number 5. Now on to the boys. BasketballNight.com power ratings in AAA. Parkersburg South is 13-1, hanging on to number 1. University is also 13-1 at number 2. Capital is 8-5 at number 3. Musselman is 13-4 at number 4. The Martinsburg is 14-3 at number 5. On to boys AA. Fairmont Senior is 15-0 at number 1. Chapmanville moving on up at 12-1. Catching up to Fairmont Senior, they're at number 2. Oak Hill Red Devils are 12-1. Number 3, Westside is 11-3 at number 4, and Bluefield is also 11-3 at number 5. On to the boys single A. BasketballNight.com power ratings. Wheeling Central Catholic holding on to the number 1 spot. They're 15-1. Valley Fayette jumps up 1 spot. The 11-0 Valley Fayette Greyhounds are number 2 in single A. Ravenswood Red Devils are 14-1 at number 3. They drop 1 spot. Tug Valley is 10-4 at number 4. Notre Dame is 10-4 at number 5. And that's the BasketballNight.com power ratings. You can see all 124 teams at BasketballNight.com.
Thank you very much, Marcus. And Joe, when you go through the girls' basketball power ratings, Wheeling Central beat Tucker County this week, so there are only 2 undefeated teams left in all of West Virginia girls basketball. Pop quiz. One of them is Parkersburg Catholic. Can you name the other? No. Meadow Bridge.
Oh, interesting.
So,
but I'm still a little. I know St. Joe's got an awesome program, but I'm still a little surprised at 9-5 that they have jumped to the number 1 spot when you've got Tucker County in there at, with only a loss.
The win over Wyoming East carries a lot of weight to
obviously.
it as well. But Joe, we'll talk here for a moment. We talked earlier with Ariel Atkins from Wayne, and Craig mentioned her younger sister. And I can tell you from just firsthand experience that her younger sister pushes her, and they help each other actually be better. That's a family dynamic that you can't always account for on the floor. That's just how the family works.
Right. I know a few sets of twins that play sports, and they, have a sibling. I know a couple girls that are actually playing softball, or they played on the championship team at Chapmanville, but only one of them is playing softball at state. Little sister's feeling a little left out, but she's still there for big sister to push her to get her to play her best and be a part of the team.
Certainly think that's one of those factors like I said, you can't really account for.
And like you said, there's not a lot of twins out there playing athletes either. So
no,
or even a brother and sister. So.
The other thing about St. Joe's, that's one reason why they're number 1. Me being a St. Mary's guy, got to see him in the title game for 4 years, and of course St. Joe's plays such a tough schedule.
Right.
You can't debate that.
No, they definitely go out and challenge themselves. I know that you pretty much have to know that ball club specifically going into a year because you don't see them a whole lot in West Virginia. They don't play a whole lot of home games. They
Not much at all.
They do play very good competition, but a lot of it's just quite frankly not within state. So it can be difficult to keep up with them unless you specifically know players or the situation there.
It's good to see they're playing teams like that again. They used to have Parkersburg Catholic on schedule, Charleston Catholic. Having a team like Wyoming East really helps getting a better gauge of where they're going along in the season. They've just been a completely dominant team for years. They've continue to bring in great athletes into that program, and it just seems to build. But I'm really keeping my eye on Parkersburg Catholic in the coming years. They've got some really good young ladies coming up in that program, and it couldn't happen for a better guy like Marty Vierheller up there in Parkersburg.
Again, Parkersburg Catholic is undefeated in girls basketball, so is Meadow Bridge. Pop quiz, can you name the 2 undefeated boys teams in West Virginia right now?
Oh.
We talked about one extensively tonight. The other one's
Valley Fayette.
Right, and the other one is kind of a known commodity, but at the same time, we haven't talked about them a lot tonight because they didn't play tonight.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head.
I had to look it up.
The Fairmont Senior Polar Bears.
Fairmont Senior.
15-0.
Well, they've been pretty dominant this year. I should have known better than that.
they've been absolute. But again, it's interesting to me, and I mean we follow it as closely as anyone, perhaps. And even at this point in the season, sometimes I'll go to basketballnight.com, I'll look at the standings, and I'll go, oh, I didn't realize they were doing that well.
Yeah.
And I know Fairmont Senior's undefeated. I knew that, but I hadn't thought about it because we didn't, they haven't played on basically 2 or 3 of the last Friday nights. So this show is on Friday nights, and we tend to want to focus on what's happening that particular night, maybe highlight a game or two that's upcoming in the week ahead. But, when you look at Fairmont Senior, they play at Bridgeport tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. Then Robert C. Byrd on the road next week, and then a game at East Fairmont. So 3 road games. Of course, now the trip to East Fairmont, not a very long trip. But again, something that is very familiar, though, to folks is that Fairmont Senior plays in the Woody Williams Armory. Mm-hmm. Woody Williams, Medal of Honor recipient for his, heroics on the battlefield in World War II and Iwo Jima.
And he's got a great honor coming up this weekend.
He will be tossing the coin at Super Bowl 52 in Minneapolis.
That's incredible.
And we have reached out. We have made contact with Woody Williams, and we do believe we will have him on the program next week. And certainly
Awesome.
Looking forward to that. We'll keep you up to date on that on social media. On Twitter and the like, but that would be a big get for us, because you say, how do you tie in West Virginia? How do you tie in basketball? Like I said, he's got a gymnasium named after him, and but
I think he's got a ship named after him too, as well. So
yes, he does. About a year ago or so.
Yeah, he is West Virginia's only living Medal of Honor recipient, and certainly looking forward to getting to speak with him, hopefully. Next week, and again, that's a generation that's Father Time's undefeated, as they say, and we're getting to that point where there just aren't as many of them left. So definitely cherish the ones that we have, and certainly look forward to talking to him next week, because he's going to have an experience. This is nothing compared to what he experienced, back in the day.
Right.
But at the same time, what an honor for him. The NFL honoring 15 Medal of Honor winners, recipients. I don't like the term winners with that one, so we'll call them recipients. Right. At the Super Bowl, day after tomorrow, before we go to break. Patriots or Eagles? Craig?
Patriots.
Eagles. Patriots have had their fair share.
I know.
I'm going for the Eagles.
I can't lose because Vinnie Curry, Marshall grad, wears his Marshall stuff to interviews.
Right.
Is a starting defensive end, and there are 3 Mountaineers that play for Philadelphia as well. And the Patriots were my second favorite team growing up, because I go back to when Troy Brown was drafted by the Patriots and had such a great career there. And all the Marshall connections to the Patriots with, you had Randy Moss and Chris Hansen, Mike Bartram, who actually played for the Eagles also. He played for both teams. They're just
a lot of connections.
Aaron Dobson recently. It's just incredible. So, again, should be a lot of fun. But we're going to come back from break and wrap things up here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It will be cause time, and we'll have your poll question as Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Every Friday night from 9 to midnight, we're the home for high school basketball in the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. Of course, you can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including 103.7 Jack FM, WQWV in Fisher, the Valley's Watchdog, 1600 AM WKKX Wheeling, 1370 AM WVLY Moundsville, Jackson County's home for Southern Gospel, Singing News Radio 92.5 FM WTHM LP, Ravenswood Ripley, Knights Radio 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg 740 AM 106.5 FM, Classic Hits 106, WHFI Linside 106.7 FM, 95 The Sports Fox WVES Charleston, 950 AM. Voice of the Coalfields, 101.9 FM, 1290 AM, WVOW in Logan. Light Rock, 93R. WRRR St. Mary's, 93.9 FM. The Ticket, 102.3 FM, WMTD in Hinton. The greatest oldies of all time, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQACLP, Edmond, Beckley. Tune for You, Yap Radio, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP in Clay. And Marshall University's flagship station, The Cutting Edge, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find us on Suddenlinks, Network West Virginia statewide. In the Huntington region, we're on Comcast, Channel 25, and streaming online at basketballnight.com.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Bill Cornwell, Joe Linville, and Ryan Epling.
Welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Joe Linville with you. Craig Dutton, WRRR, is in studio with us tonight.
You're almost there.
Almost there. How many is that now? What's the counter at?
We'll say it 14.
14. Well,
it's pretty close. I just heard it on the break as well. So
we'll take care of that in a moment as well. We'll knock that one out for certain. But also we will have Rick Kozlowski with us in just a moment for cause time. But right now we need to check out this week's poll question. That's always a fun part of the show. So Ian, what is Ethan? There we go, Ethan.
Yeah.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
We don't see each other because you're on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, that's true.
So you pop out here, and I'm like, I remember
the face,
and I can't put the name with it right off the bat. Ethan's so sorry about that. But Ethan's here with our poll question this week.
All right, so results from our poll question this week. Should dunking be allowed during all of pregame? 65% said yes. 35% said no. This week's question is, should there be a curfew on start times for games on school nights? Go to basketballnight.com to cast your vote.
And that's in relation to, we had a Big Atlantic Classic game that ended up starting at about 10:40 on a weeknight. So that's something that we were kind of bringing that up about. And Joe, your thoughts on potentially maybe a time where you say, you can't start a game after this particular time?
Yeah, on a school night, especially for the visiting team. I mean, some of these, schools have to travel a pretty good distance, and if for some reason a school, we were getting started late earlier this week. Mingo Central, who was only about an hour and 15, 20 minutes from Madison, was late getting to the school, but yet the varsity game didn't start till about 10 minutes to 8. But I think, probably 9 o'clock may be a good time to set for a curfew on that situation.
And maybe, for the state tournament where you've got the kids have excused.
Well, they're staying in Charleston
right.
anyway,
I think that's fine.
That's
I think
regular season.
Right. Regular season only. That's what we want to go with. And we bring back Craig Dutton. We thank Ethan Byers, by the way. I feel so bad right now for forgetting that. But
it happens to me all the time, so don't worry about it. That's why I have rosters everywhere when it comes to stuff
and notes.
Right, absolutely. Let's just go right into cause time, guys.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. We better get him while we can.
Yes. Rick Kozlowski of the Martinsburg Journal joins us here on BasketballFridayNight.com.
Punxsutawney Phil.
We've got. Oh, here we go.
It's not even 6 a.m. yet.
Got Martinsburg Rick.
Yeah, right?
Hello.
Rick, welcome to the show.
I saw my shadow.
All right.
Well,
good.
6 more weeks of winter.
You're the first one.
That'd be the end of it. Like I said earlier, when the groundhog sees its shadow, the rodent needs to go. But when the groundhog doesn't see its shadow and spring is near, that dedicated prognosticator of weather, that should be much appreciated. That's my thought on it.
Well, when Mrs. Punxsutawney Phil sees her husband's shadow, she tells him that he needs to shave.
Rick. Martinsburg's only had like 1 inch of snow, so what's another 6 weeks of winter for you guys, right?
I am not a great lover of winter, but to be honest, I was telling somebody this earlier today. I would like to see maybe an inch of snow, just something to cover the grass, just so that we remember what winter actually is. We've had like 2 minor dustings, eighth of an inch, quarter of an inch, and basically the snow is gone like 4 hours later. It's like there's like no sign that it even happened. So, I guess I'm getting a little nostalgic. I want to see some snow.
Yeah, that's kind of unheard of in your part of the country,
Well,
you guys get some of the side effects of some of those nor'easters that come up the coast that we don't get.
Yeah, that tends to be where we get our biggest snowfalls. And, obviously 2 years ago with the big 40 inches, I don't want to live through that one again. But, yeah, so I guess there was one nor'easter this season, and basically it stayed too far off the coast, and we missed it. Well, as far east or as Washington, D.C. got like 4 or 5 inches, and we're just sitting out here, basking in the sunlight.
I'll tell you, we had a snowstorm here a couple of weeks ago where we were told, expect an inch of snow. There were 4 inches of snow, and that's been about it in terms of any accumulation. But Rick, we'll ask you the poll question here. Let you weigh in on this as well.
Yes, I need a curfew.
Yes. A sports writer will almost always say, absolutely.
Yeah. Deadline, yeah.
That's a tough situation. I think what happens a lot of times with those late starting games is it is kind of a tournament situation, and if you don't play the game because of the late start, when do you play it? If you're at, like, say, the Big Atlantic, can you play at 10 the next morning, or does somebody have to come back and be there? I don't know. It's a tough situation.
And also, many times you're talking about at least one of the teams, sometimes both, are spending the night, so they're not going to school the next day anyway.
And that's the thing. I think tournament situations, often are a little bit different. At least, and as particularly a state tournament. And like I said, I don't really know how the setup is for the Big Atlantic, but when you have as many games going on as that tournament has, yes, there's going to be some backups because some games are going to take longer than others. There's going to be lots of whistles, lots of fouls,
overtimes.
Oh, geez, you've just jinxed it, right? And when you say that, that's a sports writer's thing. We always know if we're watching a game on TV, waiting to get a game from TV or whatever. We never use the word overtime because as soon as we say that, we're dead. It's going extra. It's one of those superstition things.
There was a double overtime game in the Eastern Panhandle tonight. Spring Mills beating Washington 63-61. A couple of other teams were down in Beckley for the Big Atlantic Classic. Hedgesville losing today. Martinsburg winning tonight. So,
and you're wondering what game I saw?
Yes, I'm beginning to run out of games.
I almost bet it was the Musselman Jefferson game.
It was. I was actually planning on going to Berkeley Springs until one of my staffers called in sick, and so I had to kind of said, well, I'm going to stay close to home. And Jefferson played the first quarter probably about as well as it has played a game all season. Unfortunately, the Cougars went a mere 4 out of 13 from the foul line in the first half, Musselman slipped back to within 2 points, and then Musselman, which had its 10-game winning streak, ended the other day at Mercersburg, Pennsylvania, kind of regathered itself and played a very good second half and went away with another victory.
Well, Rick, we're coming up on the end of the program here. We've got about 30 seconds left. What's
As
on?
usual.
Yeah, so this is your 25 seconds to share your grievances on Groundhog's Day.
Well, I can't wait for spring. How's that?
I think
I don't care what
spectacular.
I don't care what the groundhog says.
There you go. Well, I trust
Good
you
answer.
over the groundhog anyway.
Happy Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, and Rick, always a pleasure, and we always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, 6 more minutes of Groundhog Day. Whoopee.
One more minute of Groundhog Day and only 30 more seconds of show. That's it for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For Ethan Byers, for Craig Dutton of WRRR.
You hit it.
Made it. For Joe Linville, for Marcus Constantino, and for the entire crew at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, thanks for watching. We'll be back in 1 week. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit basketballnight.com for our show archives, the poll question of the week, and the basketballnight.com scoreboard. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2018. All rights reserved.